Chapter 237. To play the long game. 2. Yeah, Fengda answered. He didn't suffer any physical pain. All he suffered was mental pain. Boo-hoo. Third elder? Ha-ha. Suddenly, Fengda saw a middle-aged man covered in leaves and blooming with countless pink flowers. He was stunned, and then he laughed hysterically. Third elder, you met with such fate too. Fengda circled him a few times, then stopped in front of him and tugged at a little flower on his body. Huh, it's actually real? How did Miss do it? She's really amazing. Oomph. The third elder snorted and looked up at the sky without even looking at Fengda. Third elder, I really want to beat you up, but seeing how beautiful you are now, I really can't bear to do it. Alas, am magnanimous, so will forgive you. Fengda said with a smile. Oomph. Another snort came. Miss Long, this is the essence restoration grass you wanted. Long Hao handed Long Ruoxue a few blades of emerald green grass. Thank you. This is yours. Long Ruoxue put the essence restoration grass in her storage ring, looked at the expectant Long Hao, and gave him a ring. Dragon Emperor, come to the Phoenix clan to look for me after you have discussed the last condition. However, I won't stay in the Phoenix clan for too long. Long Ruoxue said to Long Hao. Okay, we will give Miss Long an answer as soon as possible, Long Hao said quickly. Let's go. Long Ruoxue said to Feng Zhan and Fengda. The two of them nodded, and were about to leave with Long Ruoxue when Long Hao stopped them. Long Ruoxue looked at Long Hao doubtfully, her face full of question marks. Miss Long, please untie the third elder. Long Hao asked helplessly. You can't untie it. You have to follow the laws of nature. Long Ruoxue walked past Long Hao and left. Father, I'm leaving too. He'll come back to see you, Huao quickly said to the third elder when he saw his master leaving. Oh, Dragon Emperor, what should I do? The third elder asked anxiously as he looked at his son's disappearing figure and then at himself. I don't have a choice. You should just follow the laws of nature. Long Hao held in his laughter, comforted him helplessly, and then walked away. Miss, what are the laws of nature? Fengda asked curiously on the way back to the Phoenix clan. Think about it yourself, Long Ruoxue said lightly. How stupid. I can't think of anything. Fengda looked at Long Ruoxue pitifully with a bitter face. How can I have such a stupid subordinate like you? Long Ruoxue said in disappointment. I know. The laws of nature are the laws of nature. And Flame flew to Fengda's side. Whether it's animals, plants, or humans, in short, all species must abide by the laws of nature, and Flame explained. He was a wood spirit vermilion bird, so no one knew more about nature than him. Oh. Although Fengda still didn't know much, he pretended to understand in order not to be despised by his young lady. Boo-hoo. This little bird really brought him down hard. Little sister Ruoxue, why did you let those stinky dragons take advantage of us? Feng Linger, who had been silent, asked in puzzlement, feeling very uncomfortable. To play the long game, of course, Long Ruoxue explained with a light smile. Master, do you mean that the Dragon Clan will agree to that condition? Feng Miao asked with some uncertainty. They had studied outside for a long time just now, but they didn't understand why their master wanted to show weakness. After all, with their Phoenix Clan's strength, they were not afraid of the Dragon Clan at all. Yes, I can advance holy beasts. This bait is big enough, Long Ruoxue said confidently. Probably no beast could refuse such a condition. Master, our Phoenix Clan also has many level 9 holy beasts, Feng Zhan reminded. If all those members of the Phoenix Clan could advance to Divine Beast, how formidable would this force be? I've got it ready. Long Ruoxue took out a jade bottle and handed it to Feng Zhan. How could she forget her own beasts? Thank you, Master. I will arrange for their advancement when we get back, Feng Zhan said with an excited expression on his face as he hurriedly accepted the jade bottle and put it away. No rush. Wait for me to finish refining the essence restoration pill before letting them advance, Long Ruoxue said after some thought. In comparison, her brother's matter was more important. After waiting for so long, her genius brother could finally recover. Feng Zhan nodded shyly. He was being a little hasty. Back at the Phoenix Clan, Long Ruoxue brought Fengda, her grandfather, and the others into the heaven and earth bracelet and went straight into the purple bamboo house. Where is this? Fengde murmured in a daze as he stood foolishly in the space. It's so beautiful here. Captain, Lin Yuan shouted as he dashed to Fengde. Lin Yuan, why are you here? Fengde asked in surprise. And us. Everyone emerged from hiding. Fengde was startled by everyone, and after reacting, he couldn't help asking curiously, what's going on? Captain, listen to me tell you slowly. Lin Yuan pulled Fengde to the side and told him everything that had happened during this period of time. While they were chatting, the idle old man walked to Long Qingtian and Lin Liang curiously. Hey, what are you two doing? Old man asked curiously. These two old fellows were staring at the purple bamboo house without blinking. What was the use? Could they get anything out of doing so? Go away and play somewhere else. Long Qingtian waved his hand as if he was shooing away a fly. That's right. Don't cause trouble. Ruoxue is concocting pills. Lin Liang was in no mood to joke with old man. He was so nervous that his heart was about to jump out of his throat. This was a big matter related to his precious disciple. Calm down. Isn't it just alchemy? Is there a need for you all to be so paranoid? Old man said helplessly. Alas, they are really blinded by concern. As for the butterfly, she would leave the matter for another time. Swear, thank you. Lung Ruhan's face was unusually calm, but his voice was trembling, revealing his nervousness. Big brother, reconstructing your meridians might hurt a little. You have to bear with it. Lung Ruoxue reminded as she handed him an essence restoration pill. Okay. Lung Ruhan nodded. His beautiful face was resolute as he walked toward his residence. After a while, painful groans sounded from Lung Ruhan's room. Lung Ruoxue and the others, who were guarding outside the house, felt their hearts wrench upon hearing this. Swear, Ruhan has been in there for so long. Why isn't he better yet? Lung Qingtian paced back and forth anxiously. Grandpa, reconstructing meridians is a very slow process. Don't worry, Lung Ruoxue comforted. In fact, she was quite nervous. But others couldn't help with this kind of thing, and they could only rely on her brother. Yes, all of you are too nervous. Calm down, old man advised helplessly. 2 hours later, the door of the house opened, and Lung Ruhan emerged. The smile on his face was incomparably dazzling, stunning everyone present, even though he looked disheveled. Big brother. Lung Ruoxue threw herself into Lung Ruhan's arms excitedly. She knew that her brother had succeeded. Swear, big brother can protect you again in the future. Lung Ruhan hugged his baby sister happily. He could finally cultivate again. This feeling was really great. Lung Ruoxue nodded, and then said mischievously, yes, but I still prefer the feeling of protecting big brother. You don't have to fight. Grandpa needs protection the most. Come and protect Grandpa. Lung Qingtian couldn't help joking when he saw that his grandson had finally recovered. Disciple, Master also needs protection, Lin Liang added playfully. Hey, do you two not know shame? I'm getting goosebumps. Don't disgust me here. Old man jumped in and accused them before the siblings could say anything. It's none of your business. Lung Qingtian and Lin Liang said in unison while rolling their eyes at old man. Hee, big brother, let's ignore them and talk outside. Lung Ruoxue whispered to Lung Ruhan while the 3 old men were arguing again. Okay. Lung Ruhan nodded. As a 24-hour-day filial elder brother, he naturally had to listen to his little sister. Lung Ruoxue left the heaven and earth bracelet with Lung Ruhan and appeared in her room. Big White, quickly come out and acknowledge your master. Lung Ruoxue called out to the space. The beast she had prepared for her brother had finally come in handy. We're here. Big White's entire family appeared in front of them. During their time in the space, Big White and his wife had both advanced to level 8 Holy Beast, while their cubs also grew a lot. Establish the contract. Lung Ruoxue said to Big White. The male white tiger nodded his large head and took the lead in establishing a soul contract. Following that, his wife and children also established soul contracts with Lung Ruhan. The contract arrays descended almost simultaneously, and after they disappeared, the contracts were formally established. Big White, you can go back now. Long Ruashue sent their entire family back into the bracelet. Chapter 239. To play the long game, 4, Big Brother. We'll get you a few more dragons to contract in a few days, Long Ruashue said. Those dragons were a little ugly, but they were pretty strong and usable. Schwer, Big White and his family are enough for me. Long Ruhan smiled, his face full of satisfaction. They are not divine beasts yet. Big Brother has to have a divine beast no matter what, Long Ruashue said very seriously. Their opponents would become stronger and stronger in the future, so the strength of their beasts was extremely important. Okay, Big Brother will listen to Schwer, Long Ruhan said helplessly, his face full of affection. Schwer, you naughty girl, where did you go? Long Qingshan's angry roar suddenly appeared in Long Ruaksha's mind. Haha, Big Brother, Grandpa and the others finally realized that we left. Long Ruashue smiled happily. Get the 3 old men to come out as well, lest they be too anxious, Long Ruhan said very kindly with a similarly happy smile on his face. Okay, Grandpa, come out, Long Ruashue said to the few anxious old men in the space. Schwer, you naughty girl. Long Qingtian glared at his granddaughter with wide eyes, wanting to bore a hole through her. That's right, Ruashue, how could you abandon us? Lin Liang said with a sad face. Stop acting. I won't fall for it. Long Ruashue steeled herself and turned her face away. Alas, we are old and despised by the little girl, Old Man said sadly with a heavy sigh. Stop. Okay, I'm afraid of you. What do you want? Tell me. Long Ruashue raised her hands in surrender. She was impressed by these 3 old men. They would stop at nothing until they achieved their goal. Schwer, Ruhan's injuries have healed. Shouldn't we celebrate? Long Qingtian probed, his face full of anticipation. How do you want to celebrate, Grandpa? Long Ruashue asked, pretending not to understand. She knew that these old men were greedy. Ruashue, do you still have python meat? Lin Liang asked as he swallowed his saliva gently. Do you want to eat it? Yes, yes. 3 pairs of expectant eyes stared at Long Ruashue. Long Ruashue stopped teasing them and said straightforwardly, then let's go out and eat. Okay. The 3 old men had no objections. As long as they could eat, the location was not important. Long Ruashue sent them back into the heaven and earth bracelet, and then left the wooden house. After arriving at the valley where she had advanced last time, Long Ruashue released everyone and the beasts from the bracelet. Feng De walked to Long Ruashue and said as if he was presenting a treasure, Miss, I have another python here. Just right. There are so many people and beasts, so I was thinking it might not be enough. Long Ruashue gave Feng De some instructions and then entered the bracelet. Qingju, where's the little mink? Long Ruashue asked curiously. He's guarding the fire lotus. After hearing what Qingju said, Long Ruashue went to the field where the fire lotus was planted. As expected, she saw the little silver mink lying motionlessly in front of the fire lotus. Seeing this, she felt a little uncomfortable. Doesn't this little mink like to stick to me the most? Is this fire lotus female? Little mink, what are you doing here? Long Ruashue questioned in annoyance. Schwer, you're here. The little silver mink looked up at Long Ruashue and then lowered his little head to stare at the fire lotus. Do you intend to stay here forever? Long Ruashue said with some jealousy, but she didn't even realize in the slightest that she was jealous of the fire lotus. It's very important, the little silver mink whispered while praying in his heart. Grow up quickly. As long as it could grow into a 1,000-year-old fire lotus, he would be able to revive. It is very important, but you don't have to stay here. Qingju will take care of it. Long Ruashue suppressed her anger. Of course, she knew how important the fire lotus was. But for some reason, seeing this little mink guarding this place made her uncomfortable. Schwer, what's wrong? The little silver mink was puzzled. Why is Schwer angry? You are not allowed to stay here, Long Ruashue ordered as she picked up the little mink lying on the ground. Oh, the little silver mink answered softly. Boo-hoo. Does Schwer dislike me? His imagination began to run wild again. Long Ruashue left the bracelet with the little mink in her arms. After going out, She saw that everyone was almost ready. Miss, this is for you. Feng De handed Long Ruoxue a piece of cleaned meat. Thank you. Long Ruoxue sat on the ground with the little mink in her arms and began grilling the meat on the fire. Big sister, baby wants to eat too, baby said coquettishly while snuggling up to Long Ruoxue. It's not done yet. Don't worry, Long Ruoxue coaxed. She gently caressed baby's soft fur and sighed in her heart. Why are my beasts so cute? After she grilled the meat, she distributed the meat to the mink and baby. Be careful. It's hot. Long Ruoxue quickly reminded baby as she watched him wolf down the food. Why aren't you eating? Long Ruoxue turned her gaze to the little mink in her arms. I want you to feed me. The little silver mink pouted his pink lips and acted coquettishly. But he kept repeating to himself in his heart, Schwer won't hate me. She won't. Open your mouth. Long Ruoxue helplessly tore off a small piece of meat and brought it to the little mink's mouth to coax him. It smells so good. The little silver mink licked his lips happily and rubbed his fluffy little face against Long Ruoxue's beautiful face in satisfaction. Long Ruoxue rubbed the little mink's soft fur. When she saw the little thing's satisfied expression, her depressed mood just now was swept away. Everyone sat together happily. After they had their fill, Long Ruoxue sent them all back to the Heaven and Earth bracelet and returned to the Phoenix clan's territory alone. After returning to the Phoenix clan, Long Ruoxue went straight to Feng Zhan. Chapter 240. To play the long game. 5. Master, why are you here? Feng Zhan asked curiously. Shouldn't Master be concocting pills right now? Feng Zhan, go and tell them to advance, Long Ruoxue said directly. After all those members of the Phoenix clan advanced to Divine Beast, she would be ready to leave a few days later. I'll inform them immediately, Feng Zhan said happily. He disappeared in the blink of an eye. Dragon Island. In the main hall, Long Hao was sitting on the throne. Below him were the 10 elders of the Dragon clan, including the 3rd elder with flowers all over his body. You already know what happened. Tell me your thoughts. Long Hao's sharp golden eyes scanned the elders sitting below him. Your Majesty, we dragons are born noble, so how can we be commanded by humans? The 7th elder spoke first, his wrinkled face full of disapproval. Does anyone have a different opinion? Long Hao's golden eyes narrowed. He had already expected the reaction of the 7th elder, so he was not surprised that the old man would object. A little old man with white hair stood up and said, Your Majesty, if that Long Ruoxue can really help our clan advance, it won't be a loss to acknowledge her as our master. 2nd elder, you are mistaken. The 7th elder hurriedly stood up to object when he heard the little old man. 7th elder, calm down and let 2nd elder finish speaking, Long Hao interrupted. But he was thinking in his heart that he had almost made the necessary arrangements, and he couldn't let this stubborn old man spoil the plans. Your Majesty, elders, please listen to me. Although Long Ruoxue is only a human, she has pills that can advance holy beasts to divine beasts. Everyone should know very well how difficult it is to advance to divine beast. Moreover, the Phoenix King has already acknowledged her as his master. I believe that the strength of the Phoenix clan will soon surpass ours. Do you want to see that happen? The 2nd elder said loudly with his blood boiling. He mentioned the Phoenix clan because he knew that these elders would not want to see the Phoenix clan become stronger than them. I think 2nd elder makes sense, the other elders agreed. Although dragons and phoenixes were not archenemies, they were definitely not friends. In fact, the animosity between the two races had existed for a long time. Therefore, they would always start fighting whenever the two races met. Who knows if Long Ruoxue really has that kind of medicinal pill in her hand, the 7th elder said with a face full of disbelief. Where Ao tested it himself, how can it be fake? Moreover, he said it himself, the 2nd elder said hurriedly. What he implied was that even if you didn't believe in humans, shouldn't you believe in your own people? He has already acknowledged a human as his master, so of course he will speak up for humans. The 7th elder snorted and quibbled. Anyway, he just didn't agree. 7th elder, what's the meaning of this? Could it be that you think my son is lying? The The third elder questioned with a displeased face. His son finally became successful, but he was still being doubted. Humph, how unreasonable. I didn't mean that, the seventh elder quickly denied. He didn't want to provoke this violent dragon. Stop arguing. We must discuss this matter over a long period of time. Let's wait and see first. The first elder, who had not said a word all this while, said resolutely. After the first elder spoke, none of the elders dared to speak anymore. Alas, just a little more. Long Hao was depressed. The first elder had a high status in the dragon clan and had watched him grow up, so he didn't dare to force it if the first elder did not agree. But there was still hope since the first elder didn't refuse outrightly. At the same time, the sky outside the hall suddenly became incomparably dazzling, and lights flashed non-stop. Long Hao and the others hurriedly ran out of the hall. Your Majesty, these are the heaven and earth laws for advancement, the second elder said as he looked up at the sky. Heaven and earth laws had been descending all the time recently, but they hadn't been able to identify it the previous few times. This time, the place where the heaven and earth laws descended was clearly the territory of the Phoenix clan. Damn it, those damn birds are actually advancing. Long Hao felt resentful as he looked at the heaven and earth laws descending from the sky. He turned around and returned to the main hall with a huff. Your Majesty, it's as I expected, the second elder said with a face full of realization. Do you have anything else to say, seventh elder? Long Hao asked furiously. The tough and stubborn seventh elder stammered a little in the face of reality. Your Majesty, if there is anyone in the dragon clan who wants to acknowledge humans as their masters, let them go, the first elder said. He didn't want to see the emperor vent all his anger on the elders. Second elder, they'll leave this matter to you, Long Hao ordered the second elder directly. He was waiting for the first elder to say this. Your Majesty, don't worry. I will definitely settle this matter, the second elder hurriedly said. This was a good task. He wondered what else that little girl had. He also wanted to exchange some stuff. The Phoenix clan's territory. The members of the Phoenix clan who had just become divine beasts crowded around Long Ruoxue with gratitude on their faces. Big sister. Inflame also wants to become a divine beast. Inflame flew around Long Ruoxue and kept shouting. Inflame, you're not an adult yet. Long Ruoxue caressed Inflame's little head to calm him. When will I become an adult? Boo-hoo. Inflame, don't make a fuss. Feng Zhan gently reprimanded and grabbed the noisy little fellow into his embrace. Feng Zhan, I'm going back. Long Ruoxue smiled at Feng Zhan. With that, she walked toward her residence. She had just gained so many benefits, so she had to go back and consolidate them. Long Ruoxue returned to the wooden house, entered her room, and went directly into the heaven and earth bracelet. Schwerer, the scene just now was really spectacular. Lung Qingtian couldn't help saying when he saw his precious granddaughter. Yes, now that all those members of the Phoenix clan have advanced to Divine Beast, let's leave this place after the dragons of the Dragon clan come, Grandpa, Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Chapter 241. Greedy Dragon Clan, Ideological Education, 1. Okay, but will the dragons of the Dragon Clan come? Lung Qingtian was a little worried. It seemed that those dragons despised humans. The advancements just now can't be hidden from the Dragon Clan. Those dragons should be anxious, so there will definitely be dragons coming to me, Lung Ruoxue said with certainty, but she didn't know how many there would be. Grandpa, what about Big Brother and the others? Lung Ruoxue asked. Ruhan, Fengde, and the others have all gone into seclusion. They said they wanted to cultivate diligently, Lung Qingtian explained. After leaving the Phoenix clan, the three old men also planned to go into seclusion to avoid dragging his granddaughter down in the future. Oh, Grandpa, they'll go and consolidate my cultivation. Lung Ruoxue nodded and walked toward the purple bamboo house. Where's little girl? Old man, who was gnawing on a spirit fruit in his hand, suddenly appeared beside Lung Qingtian and asked curiously. He clearly heard the girl's voice just now. Schwerer went to cultivate. Why do you only know how to eat all day long? Lung Qingtian said with a headache. This old man wasn't like this before. Why did he seem like a different person now? I'm also doing this for cultivation. These spirit fruits are full of spiritual power, and I can't enter seclusion now, so I can only eat them. Anyway, there are so many of them on the trees that I can't finish them all, Old Man explained, implying that he shouldn't be so stingy. Yes, what Old Man said is very reasonable. Now, we can only rely on these spirit fruits to increase our spiritual power. Lin Liang also held a fruit in his hand and agreed very much. Well said. In fact, you two are just gluttons. Long Qingtian bluntly exposed the two of them. Then he snorted and went to pick a fruit from a tree. After consolidating her cultivation, Long Ruoxue emerged from the purple bamboo house and saw the three old men eating spirit fruits in competition. Cold sweat dripped down her forehead. Are they really that bored? Without disturbing them, Long Ruoxue quietly left the bracelet with the little mink. Shuer, where are we going? The little silver mink asked curiously when he saw Shuer carrying him out of the wooden house. Out for a walk. Long Ruoxue brought the little mink to the sea, sat on a boulder on the beach, and basked in the sea breeze. Oh, it feels pretty good. Ruoxue. A voice sounded from behind her. Long Ruoxue turned around and saw Hua Qing standing not far away, looking at her. Why are you here? There are many sea beasts here. I'm not afraid, Hua Qing said calmly. Alas, he hadn't seen Ruoxue since he came here. Thinking of this, he couldn't help feeling a little disappointed. Oh, how's the situation with your Hua family? Long Ruoxue asked tentatively. She had never had the chance to chat with Hua Qing, so she wasn't very clear about his family's situation. But the incident could be considered to be caused by her, so she still felt somewhat guilty toward Hua Qing. I'm not sure either. Some died, some were injured, and some escaped. The Hua family no longer exists, Hua Qing said indifferently, his expression unreadable. Actually, I was the one who destroyed the Su family, so I'm also responsible for this matter, Long Ruoxue said after some hesitation. I know. The Su family has always been ambitious. Even if it weren't for you, they would have dominated the entire Lingfeng continent sooner or later. You just brought this matter forward, Hua Qing said calmly. In fact, he knew very well that he could not entirely blame Ruoxue for this matter. His father had been too greedy. Yes, the Su family is indeed a big problem. By the way, why were you together with Muli? Long Ruoxue asked curiously. These two shouldn't be related, right? I met him on the road. I was chased by those people, and he saved me, so I came with him, Hua Qing explained simply. Then what are your plans for the future? We'll be leaving in a few days, Long Ruoxue said. This was also considered informing him in advance. I don't know either. Hua Qing lowered his head in disappointment. He really didn't know where he could go. Then stay with us for now. Leave after you find the Hua family, Long Ruoxue said helplessly after thinking about it for a while. Alas, she really couldn't chase Hua Qing away while he was in this state. Thank you. Hua Qing raised his head happily. He had already felt out of place during the past few days he was with them. So in fact, he was already mentally prepared to leave them at any time. But he didn't expect Ruoxue to want him to stay. Even though it was only temporary, he was already very happy. He was happy, but the little mink in Long Ruoxue's arms was unhappy. His beautiful blue eyes stared fiercely at Hua Qing, wanting to glare him to death. Hua Qing ignored the little mink's angry gaze and asked, Ruoxue, when are we leaving? In a week at most. The fire attribute spiritual power here is very strong. Take advantage of these few days to absorb more of it. This opportunity is very rare, Long Ruoxue reminded. This place was extremely suitable for fire attribute cultivators to cultivate. Yes, I've been absorbing it the whole time, Hua Qing said. His greatest wish now was to increase his strength quickly, so he definitely wouldn't let go of such a good opportunity. Let's go back. I have to find the Phoenix King and talk with him, Long Ruoxue said after looking at the time. Hua Qing nodded, and the two of them walked back to the Phoenix clan's territory. I'm going to see the Phoenix King. You should go back and rest. Okay, Hua Qing replied and walked toward the wooden house. Long Ruoxue headed straight for the Phoenix King's resting palace. Master. Fengzhan was surprised to see Long Ruoxue looking for him again so quickly. Fengzhan, I plan to leave the Phoenix clan in a few days. Long Ruoxue stated her intentions clearly. What? Then what should we do? Feng Zhan was shocked. When his master was in the Dragon clan, she said that she would be leaving in a few days. At that time, he thought that she was just scaring those dragons. He didn't expect that she was really leaving. Boo-hoo. Are we going to enter Master's Spirit Beast space? But there are no sycamore trees there, so it isn't suitable for our Phoenix clan to cultivate. Of course you have to leave with me. Do you want to stay here? Long Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. Chapter 242. Greedy Dragon Clan, Ideological Education, 2, Master, I mean that our Phoenix clan needs sycamore trees, and there are none in the Spirit Beast space, Feng Zhan explained after a pause. That's why I came to find you. Come with me. With a thought, Long Ruoxue entered the Heaven and Earth bracelet with Feng Zhan. Master, where's this place? The spiritual energy here is so dense. Feng Zhan looked at the beautiful scenery in front of him, and his jaw almost dropped to the ground in surprise. This is my space. You will live here from now on. As for the sycamore trees, you can move them in, Long Ruoxue said to the slightly dazed Feng Zhan. How is it? Are you satisfied with this place? Long Ruoxue asked when she saw that Feng Zhan didn't react for a long time. Yes, satisfied. Very satisfied. Feng Zhan hurriedly said when he came to his senses. His phoenix eyes looked around unblinkingly. Wow, this place is too beautiful. He couldn't look away. It's good that you are satisfied. Go and tell your clan to pack up and prepare to move. Long Ruoxue directly ordered. Master, can we eat those fruits on the trees? Feng Zhan looked at the spirit fruits hanging on the branches and almost drooled. He really didn't expect his master to have so many spirit fruits. Wow, this is so blissful. Long Ruoxue nodded and then warned, Yes, but don't waste them. I promise we won't. Feng Zhan immediately raised a hand to assure her. His absolutely beautiful face was about to bloom with a smile. Okay, Feng Zhan, get your clan to pack up, but only move a portion of them first. The others will move in when we leave, Long Ruoxue said after some thought with a frown. Master, don't worry. They'll handle it. After settling the matter with the Phoenix clan, Long Ruoxue brought Feng Zhan out of the bracelet and returned to the wooden house. Big brother Feng, why aren't you asleep yet? Long Ruoxue asked curiously when she saw Feng Moran sitting in the living room. I'm waiting for you. Swear, are we leaving the Phoenix clan? Feng Moran asked directly. Yes, we will leave after the transaction with the Dragon Emperor, Long Ruoxue explained. Okay, big brother Feng, just tell me what you want to say, Long Ruoxue said helplessly. What is so difficult for you to say? Swear, have you thought about what Grandpa said a few days ago? Feng Moran asked curiously. No, Patriarch Feng must be joking. Long Ruoxue said honestly. The Feng family was different from Old Man. After all, Old Man had gone through thick and thin with them, so she had a higher level of trust in him. But she didn't know anyone in the Feng family well other than the two brothers, so the ally relationship was enough for her. Swear, Grandpa wasn't joking. So please consider it if there's a chance. Feng Moran suggested. His selfish hope was that the Feng family could have a deeper relationship with Shuer. After all, there were only a few people left in the Feng family, and he couldn't watch helplessly as his only relatives fell into danger. Following Shuer was the best choice. Okay, I will consider it, Long Ruoxue replied. She might not take other people's words seriously, but she couldn't ignore Big Brother Feng's words. After Long Ruoxue and Feng Moran finished chatting, they returned to their respective rooms to rest. The next day, Long Ruoxue found time to go directly to the patriarch and first elder of the Feng family. After a round of secret talks with them, she officially took the Feng family under her wing. No one even knew what the three of them talked about. After settling the matter, Long Ruoxue brought the two of them into the Heaven and Earth bracelet. This place is... The two old men were stunned when they saw the scene in front of them. This is my space. Aoran is in that room. Go and see him. Long Ruoxue said to the two. Oh. The two people reacted and walked toward the bamboo house that Long Ruoxue mentioned while observing the scenery in front of them. Lung Qingtian came to his granddaughter's side and said with disapproval, Shuer, why did you bring them in? Grandpa, they are one of us now, Lung Ruoxue explained. She blocked communications with the bracelet just now, so her grandfather didn't know that she had already taken in the Feng family. One of us? Can they be trusted? Lung Qingtian was a little skeptical. Those aristocratic families had worked hard for their own families all their lives, so how could they become loyal to others so easily? Yes, they have signed a bloodline contract from the heaven-defying art, Lung Ruoxue explained. The overbearing aspect of this bloodline contract was that any descendant related to them would be bound by the contract as long as it was their bloodline, be it main or side branches. That's good. Lung Qingtian was relieved. He didn't want his granddaughter to be in any danger. At this moment, Qingju appeared in front of Lung Ruoxue and reminded, Big sister, the Phoenix King is here to see you. Got it. Grandpa, am leaving first. After saying goodbye to Lung Qingtian, Lung Ruoxue immediately left the heaven and earth bracelet. Fengzhan, why are you here? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. Master, we've already packed up, Fengzhan said a little impatiently. He hadn't slept for the entire night yesterday. After leaving the space, he had immediately ordered his clan to pack up. So fast. Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised. Fengzhan's work efficiency is quite high. Yes, everyone wants to move to their new home as soon as possible, Fengzhan explained. He wanted to too, but he knew that he had to stay outside for the time being. Boo-hoo. Then let's go. Lung Ruoxue smiled lightly and left the wooden house with Fengzhan. After 4 hours of work, Lung Ruoxue sent 2/3 of the Phoenix clan into the Heaven and Earth bracelet. Qingju, give them a place to live, Lung Ruoxue ordered in the bracelet. Don't worry, big sister. I've already arranged everything, Qingju said understandingly. He had been preparing it since his big sister accepted the Phoenix clan. Very good, Lung Ruoxue praised. She picked Qingju up and pinched his tender little face. Chapter 243, Greedy Dragon Clan, Ideological Education, 3, Big Sister. Qingju pouted his pink lips in dissatisfaction. Hee, Qingju, bring them along. Lung Ruoxue said awkwardly as she placed Qingju on the ground. Shuer, I'm very cute too. Pinch me. The little silver mink, who had a surge of jealousy, jumped into Lung Ruoxue's arms. Lung Ruoxue looked the little mink up and down and finally said very honestly, You're too thin. Pinching you isn't fun. Woo-woo. Then I'll eat until I get fatter. The little silver mink said ingratiatingly. He was going to go all out. Lung Ruoxue deliberately paused before saying with disapproval, Get fatter? Then you will become a ball like baby. Big sister, am not that fat? A small black fur ball rolled to Lung Ruoxue's feet and complained, his big blue eyes full of grievances. Yes, baby is much fatter than before, Lung Qingtian said seriously as he picked up the fur ball from the ground. Boo-hoo, baby isn't fat. Baby wailed aggrievedly as crystal tears rolled down his big blue eyes. Not fat, not fat. We were just joking with baby, Lung Ruoxue quickly coaxed. A few drops of cold sweat rolled down her forehead. Alas, why do all my beasts like to cry so much? Big sister is bullying baby. Baby complained with tears in his eyes. Lung Ruoxue was speechless. When did I bully this little thing? Haha, Ruoxue. Your beasts are all very difficult to deal with. Lin Liang laughed hysterically. These little things are really too cute. Moreover, that girl is actually being controlled by her beasts. Haha, Grandpa Lin. If you continue smiling, your saliva will drip down, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. Really? Lin Liang was a little puzzled, but he still wiped the corner of his mouth with his hand. Haha, brat Lin. Who asked you to make a joke about little girl? You've been fooled now, Old Man said gloatingly. Oomph. Lin Liang snorted and ignored Old Man, but he looked at Lung Ruoxue aggrievedly. You guys continue chatting. I'm going out first. Lung Ruoxue ignored Lin Liang's bitterness and directly escaped. After leaving the bracelet, Lung Ruoxue also brought Fengzhan out. Master, why did you bring me out? Feng Zhan asked in puzzlement. Wasn't I planting sycamore trees with the clan just now? I brought you out because it's better for you to stay outside as the king of the clan, Lung Ruoxue explained while looking at the somewhat depressed Feng Zhan. In fact, she was afraid that the dragon clan would suddenly come, so she brought Feng Zhan out. Hee. When we leave, you can stay inside for as long as you want, Lung Ruoxue added. Master, King, the dragon clan requests an audience. A guard came to report just as Lung Ruoxue finished speaking. Bring the dragon clan to the main hall first. The Phoenix King and I will be there soon. Lung Ruoxue ordered the Vermilion Bird Guard. Speak of the devil. After deliberately waiting for a while, Lung Ruoxue and Feng Zhan walked toward the main hall of the Phoenix clan. In the main hall of the Phoenix clan, the second elder was sitting alone in his chair with numerous thoughts in his mind. He kept thinking about how to talk later and how to obtain the greatest benefits for the dragon clan. So, it's second elder who has graced us with your presence. Feng Zhan entered the hall and reminded Lung Ruoxue of the old man's identity. Your Majesty, this old man greets you. The second elder stood up and bowed respectfully. The second elder looked at the beautiful woman beside Feng Zhan and asked uncertainty, You must be Miss Long? I am Lung Ruoxue. Hello, second elder, Lung Ruoxue said very politely. Miss Long, it's a pleasure to meet you. This old man was rude. The second elder hurriedly said and bowed again. Hee, second elder, there's no need to be so polite. Please take a seat, Feng Zhan said with a light smile. Phoenix King, I'm here to negotiate with you on behalf of the Dragon Clan, the second elder said straightforwardly after they were seated. Has the Dragon Clan already discussed it? Feng Zhan asked knowingly. We've discussed it. We are willing to make a deal with Miss Long, the second elder said with a smile, but he couldn't help cursing in his heart. Rubbish. What am I doing here if we didn't discuss it beforehand? Fight with you? Second elder, tell me your conditions. Lung Ruoxue asked directly without hesitation. Well, after the unanimous consent of all the elders of the Dragon Clan, we are willing to send 50 clan members to establish contracts with Miss Lung's subordinates. However, we request the same number of pills that can advance holy beasts, as well as pills and spirit fruits that can heal injuries, the second elder said carefully. You want them all in the same number? Lung Ruoxue frowned. This dragon clan is really greedy. They actually want so many things. Yes. If Miss Long didn't have what we needed, we wouldn't have agreed. After all, dragons don't contract with humans, the second elder explained. But he was a little nervous. He also knew that they wanted a little too much, but it was all negotiable. Except for the pills that can advance holy beasts, there are no problems with the rest, Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. The Dragon Clan is really good at scheming. Using 50 clan members in exchange for 50 pills that can promote them to divine beasts, coupled with the dragons that would become my subordinate spirit beasts, the Dragon Clan would be equivalent to having an additional 100 divine beasts. After all, it was impossible for her to leave her subordinates' contract beasts alone. The second elder gritted his teeth and said with a troubled expression, 30 pills will do then. We won't change the rest. Except for the pills for advancement, there are no problems with the rest, Lung Ruoxue repeated coldly. It wasn't so easy to take advantage of her. I have to go back and discuss this with His Majesty and the elders. The second elder had no other choice after seeing that Lung Ruoxue was unwilling to relent. Okay, I want to see you out. Second elder, please. Lung Ruoxue said coldly. She left before the second elder even got up. Chapter 244, Greedy Dragon Clan, Ideological Education, 4. Master, this dragon clan is too much. Why don't I lead some of our clan to destroy them? Feng Zhan suggested after catching up to Lung Ruoxue. There's no need. They'll let the dragon clan know that it's not so easy to take advantage of me, Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. If she wanted to settle it with violence, she would have done it a long time ago and wouldn't have waited until now. Moreover, she had always believed that submission of the soul was much more important than violence, so she would make the Dragon Clan regret it. Master, will the Dragon Clan agree? Feng Zhan asked uncertainly. 50 more divine beasts is better than none. So they will definitely agree, Lung Ruashua said very confidently. This was the main reason why she dared to negotiate with the Dragon Clan. I hope the Dragon Clan is sensible. Otherwise, don't blame me for being nasty, Feng Zhan said fiercely, killing intent shining in his eyes. Feng Zhan, do you have a great enmity with the Dragon Clan? A few drops of cold sweat dripped down Long Ruaksha's forehead. She couldn't help wondering curiously why dragons and phoenixes always wanted to fight. How should I put it? Actually, there isn't much enmity between our two races. We just don't like each other. When we meet, we have to fight each other. Otherwise, we won't feel comfortable all over. Moreover, the Phoenix Clan and the Dragon Clan also like to drag each other down, Feng Zhan explained with some embarrassment. These enmities were engraved into their bones and had been passed down generation after generation. Therefore, dragons and phoenixes had always been unable to get along peacefully. But why do I feel that your two races are a little like lovers bickering and fighting? Lung Ruashua asked doubtfully. How is that possible? No member of the Phoenix Clan would like those stinky dragons. Feng Zhan jumped up excitedly and denied. I'm just saying casually. Calm down. There's no need to overreact, Lung Ruashua quickly comforted. Master, those stinky dragons shouldn't be coming again today. Please let me in. Feng Zhan changed the topic awkwardly. Okay. Lung Ruashua sent Feng Zhan into the bracelet alone but didn't follow him in. Instead, she returned to her room in the wooden house and went to sleep. Dragon Island. The second elder left the Phoenix Clan's territory and returned to Dragon Island in embarrassment. In the main hall of the Dragon Island, Long Hao and the others were waiting for news from the second elder. Second elder, how was it? Did you succeed? All the elders crowded around the second elder and bombarded him with questions as soon as he walked into the main hall. No, Lung Ruashua didn't agree. The second elder glanced at the Dragon Emperor, who was also staring at him intently. He sighed heavily and then sat down in his chair. Humph. This Lung Ruashua really doesn't know what's good for her. Our Dragon Clan thinks highly of her and is willing to transact with her, but she actually refused. The seventh elder roared indignantly and took the lead to launch an attack. Long Hao rolled his eyes at the seventh elder and asked directly, Second elder, what did she say? Except for the pills for advancement, there are no problems with the rest. The second elder didn't beat around the bush and directly revealed the result. She refused to give us the pills to advance? Long Hao asked again. Yes, she refused to change that one. The second elder sighed helplessly. He had tried his best. Your Majesty, since Lung Ruashua doesn't know how to appreciate favors, why don't you let me lead people to snatch them? The seventh elder stood up from his chair and volunteered. Go on. If you don't come back, we won't go save you, Long Hao said coldly while looking at the seventh elder like he was an idiot. Snatch? If he could, he would have snatched them from Lung Ruashua a long time ago. Why would he bother to think about making a deal with her? Facing the strange gazes of the elders, the seventh elder only felt his face burning and wanted to find a hole to burrow into. I seem to have said something stupid just now. Second elder, what do you think of this matter? Long Hao asked. After all, he was the one who handled this matter, so he should know Lung Ruaksha's attitude better than anyone else. Your Majesty, I think Lung Ruaksha's condition is far from what we expected, but it's not impossible to agree, the second elder said after some thought. In fact, he also felt that the Dragon Clan's conditions were a little too excessive. First elder, what's your opinion? Long Hao turned to the first elder, who had his eyes closed. I have no objections. Your Majesty can decide, the first elder said indifferently without even looking up. Second elder, go to the Phoenix Clan tomorrow and say that we've agreed. Bring 50 clan members there and transact directly with her, Long Hao directly ordered after hearing what the first elder said. Yes, Your Majesty. I will go and make arrangements then. The second elder didn't want to delay any longer and left immediately. Early the next morning, the second elder set off with the Dragon Clan members. In the wooden house in the Phoenix Clan, Feng Moran stood outside Schwer's room and knocked on the door. Hi, Big Brother Feng. What's the matter so early in the morning? Lung Ruashua asked after opening the door. Schwer, Thank you, Feng Moran said with a face full of gratitude. He knew that Shuer wouldn't have accepted the Feng family at all if not for him. Big brother Feng, there's no need to be so polite between us, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. She would treat anyone that she regarded as one of her own as family. I know, but I still have to thank you. Feng Moran knew very well that Shuer had never treated him as an outsider. But he didn't know how to express his gratitude other than thanking her. Big brother Feng, did you come to see me so early in the morning just to say thank you? Lung Ruoxue couldn't resist teasing. No, I'm here to tell you that a group of dragons is outside, Feng Moran quickly explained. He knew that Shuer hated it when others disturbed her sleep. Oh, hee. Big brother Feng, you're going to have a dragon as your contract beast too. Lung Ruoxue smiled with satisfaction. It seemed like those dragons were not hopeless yet. Shuer, I only need King Kong, Feng Moran said calmly. There were many people in the mercenary group who didn't have a divine beast yet, so how could he want a dragon? Chapter 245, Greedy Dragon Clan, Ideological Education, 5. No one will complain about having too many divine beasts, Lung Ruoxue said knowingly. She knew that the people around her were not greedy and were very modest. So as long as it was possible, she would try her best to satisfy them. All right, but you have to give them to the rest first. Give one to me only if there are any left, Feng Moran said helplessly. Relax. There will be some left, even if every one of you gets one each. Lung Ruoxue left the wooden house alone and let Feng Zhan out. Master, the Dragon Clan really agreed, Feng Zhan said in surprise as he approached the main hall of the Phoenix Clan and saw the giant dragons descending at the entrance. He thought that those stubborn old dragons would have died before they agreed. The Dragon Clan won't suffer a loss if they exchange 50 dragons with ordinary aptitudes for the pills and spirit fruits, Lung Ruoxue said. Dragons were famous for their large appetites. Since they could exchange these dragons who had no contributions to the Dragon Clan for very useful pills and spirit fruits, they wouldn't have raised them for nothing. Why not do it? Master, the aptitudes of these dragons are indeed not very good. Feng Zhan's dark red phoenix eyes gently glanced at these dragons a little angrily. Damn dragons, do they think my master is a garbage collector? They're actually using these trash dragons to trade. Even though he had guessed long ago that it was impossible for the dragons to use the geniuses of their clan to carry out the transaction, he didn't expect them to be so rotten. Dragons were mainly divided into purple dragons, golden dragons, silver dragons, red dragons, blue dragons, and black dragons. Among them, purple dragons had the highest status and the best aptitudes. The dragon emperors basically came from the purple dragons. Then came the golden dragons, silver dragons, and red dragons. Red dragons were also commonly known as fire dragons. Blue dragons and black dragons had the lowest status and the worst aptitudes. In addition, there would occasionally be mutated dragons such as ice dragons, blood dragons, and purple gold dragons. Purple gold dragons were the deserving kings of the dragons and were born as dragon emperors. This time, the dragons were basically black and blue ones, and only 2 were fire dragons. Aptitude isn't important, Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. She had also looked at them just now. There were approximately 30 level 9 holy beasts, and the rest were only level 7 and 8 holy beasts. That's true. Feng Zhan nodded. With the help of his master, these dragons would absolutely become the pride of the Dragon Clan in the future. At the same time, those self-righteous dragons such as Long Hao would also regret it. When the 2 of them appeared in front of the dragons at the entrance of the hall lowered their heads and bowed to them in low self-esteem. Lung Ruoxue and Feng Zhan walked past the dragons and directly entered the main hall. Miss Long, Phoenix King, my emperor has already agreed to your conditions. I have brought the dragons with me in order to express the sincerity of our dragon clan. The sitting second elder hurriedly stood up after seeing Lung Ruoxue and the Phoenix King approaching. Thank you for your trouble, second elder. These are the things you want. They are all in here. Lung Ruoxue took out a storage ring and handed it to the second elder. The second elder took the ring and examined it with his divine sense. Then he said, Thank you, Miss Long. I will take my leave since the transaction is over. Second elder, take care. I won't be seeing you out, Lung Ruoxue said politely. After the second elder left, Lung Ruoxue and Feng Zhan came in front of the dragons again. Raise your heads, Lung Ruoxue shouted. She didn't care about the status of these dragons in the clan. Since they belonged to her now, she would not allow them to lose their confidence and be so listless. After hearing what Lung Ruoxue said, the dragons, who were lying on the ground with their heads lowered, looked up in fear. They looked at her with tears in their eyes in fear. This female master is so fierce. Since you all belong to me now, listen carefully. I don't need cowardly and weak trash. I can give you all a chance to help you become powerhouses above all dragons. But whether you have the resolve to become powerhouses or not is not something I can decide. Lung Ruoxue's face was full of black lines as she reprimanded them. These dragons are really extraordinarily useless. I want to become a powerhouse. Master, please help me. One of the fire dragons said softly. Although it was a fire dragon, its status in the clan was inferior to even the black and blue dragons because of its poor aptitude. Okay, I will give you opportunities as long as you want to become strong. Whether you can use them well or not will depend on you, Lung Ruoxue promised. She knew that it would be difficult to change the mindset of these dragons in a short period of time, but it was fine as long as there was a dragon willing to take the lead. Eat this. Lung Ruoxue directly took out a remolding pill and threw it into the fire dragon's open mouth. What did Master give me? The fire dragon was very curious, but after a while, the fire dragon rolled on the ground in pain. Not long later, a lot of grayish-black impurities discharged from its body. Wow, it stinks. Feng Zhan covered his nose. They are really stinky dragons. I really don't know what they eat every day. Boo-hoo, my main hall. He suddenly remembered that he was near the main hall. Master! Feng Zhan looked at Lung Ruoxue aggrievedly. His main hall was ruined by this stinky dragon. Boo-hoo. We're leaving soon. Lung Ruoxue glanced at Feng Zhan and reminded him. That's true. Feng Zhan thought about it and reckoned that they wouldn't return again in the future. Master. The fire dragon had completed its remolding and was kneeling respectfully in front of Lung Ruoxue. How do you feel? Lung Ruoxue asked. Very good. The fire dragon said gratefully and stretched its body. After eating the pill given by their master, it could clearly feel that the speed it absorbed spiritual power had increased significantly, albeit it was very painful at first. Feng Zhan, go find my brother. Lung Ruoxue said to Feng Zhan beside her and sent him directly back into the bracelet. Master, got him. Feng Zhan sent a voice transmission to Lung Ruoxue after a while. With a thought, the two of them appeared in front of the dragons. Schwer, why are you looking for me? Lung Ruhan asked with a puzzled expression as soon as he emerged. Big brother, contract with it first. Lung Ruoxue pointed at the fire dragon. Chapter 246, Greedy Dragon Clan, Ideological Education, 6. Okay. It was only then that Lung Ruhan realized that there were dragons all around him. Moreover, each of them had their eyes wide open and were looking at him curiously. Fire Dragon, enter into a soul contract with my brother. Lung Ruoxue ordered. Yes, master. The fire dragon obediently chanted the soul contract. Immediately afterward, the contract array descended, and the contract was formally established. Then the fire dragon bowed respectfully to Lung Ruhan and said very politely, Master, please take care of me. Please take care of me too, Lung Ruhan said quickly. Eat this too. Lung Ruoxue threw a green spirit pill into the fire dragon's mouth. What's this? The fire dragon's big eyes looked around, but there was no reaction. I'm going to advance. The fire dragon suddenly screamed excitedly half an hour later. Immediately after, heaven and earth laws descended, and this fire dragon officially advanced to divine beast. Lung Ruhan also advanced 2 stages in a row and became a peaked spiritual sovereign because of the advancement of his spirit beast. Schwer, I advanced too? Lung Ruhan asked in disbelief as he looked at his cultivation rapidly progressing as though he was sitting on a rocket. He had been eating spirit fruits nonstop in the space and cultivating day and night, but he had only advanced one stage. He didn't expect his spirit beast advancement to allow him to advance 2 stages in a row. It was too unbelievable. Big brother. It's because it advanced to divine beast. Lung Ruoxue reminded. How could advancing to divine beast be compared to an ordinary advancement? Big brother, consolidate your cultivation first. I'll give you a heavenly essence pill in a few days. Lung Ruoxue continued. Yes, there's no rush. Master, I've become a divine beast. After the advancement, the fire dragon, who had been in a daze, came back to its senses, and its huge dragon head leaned in uncertainty. Dragons were born as holy beasts, but it had cultivated for a long time but was unable to advance to divine beast because of its poor aptitude. It didn't expect that it would suddenly become a divine beast with its master's help. This was too magical. You've become a divine beast, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. At the same time, she sent her brother and the fire dragon into the bracelet. She would let her brother explain the rest to the dragon. Master, I want to become a powerhouse too. Master, me too. Now that they saw the living example, the dragons were eager and began to rush to show Lung Ruoxue their determination. Lung Ruoxue looked at the excited dragons and nodded in satisfaction. That's right. How could dragons be more cowardly than a mouse? Okay, you have to remember that you have to grasp opportunities for yourself. You create power and status yourself. The status you were born with doesn't determine everything. Sooner or later, the other dragons will look up to you, Lung Ruoxue encouraged. Yes, Master. We want to become powerhouses that all dragons look up to. Master, please help us. The dragons said in unison. They were totally different compared to the trashy dragons they were just now. Open your mouths, Lung Ruoxue ordered and threw remolding pills directly into the mouths of all the dragons. After a while, all the dragons completed their remolding, and their mental outlook had been changed beyond recognition. They had truly been reborn. After the remolding, Lung Ruoxue moved everyone out of the bracelet. Choose any one of them you want to contract. Lung Ruoxue said to everyone. Little girl, I won't hold back then. Old man said excitedly. Dragons. They were the best spirit beasts on the Lingfeng continent and were equally as famous as phoenixes. You're welcome. Pick one quickly. Lung Ruoxue urged. Hee, then I'll choose first. Old man looked around, circled the dragons a few times, and finally chose a level 9 blue dragon. Little girl, I want this one, Old man said with shining eyes. This blue dragon was the most beautiful among them. Its deep blue scales were like the most beautiful sapphires, emitting a mesmerizing glow, and its big watery eyes were looking at its new master shyly. Lung Qingtian also took a long time to pick before finally choosing a black dragon, who was also a level 9 holy beast. The black dragon was tall and mighty, and its pitch-black scales glittered in the sunlight. Swear, Grandpa wants this one. Lung Qingtian looked at his beast with satisfaction, his love evident. Lin Liang also chose a black dragon. After picking it, he took the initiative to give up his spot and found a corner to cultivate their feelings. Patriarch Feng, First Elder, why don't you choose? Lung Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. She could understand why the mercenary group didn't move. After all, her grandfather and the others were both seniors and powerhouses, so they should choose first. But these 2 old men didn't move at all. We have a share too? The First Elder asked. Everyone has a share, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. She really didn't know what these 2 old men were thinking. Then I want this one. The First Elder hurriedly pointed at the blue dragon he had been eyeing since long ago. In fact, as much as he wanted a dragon, he knew he had joined later, so he didn't pick one. But he had chosen one long ago, and he had been thinking of asking for it from the girl when he had made some contributions in the future. Feng Jing pretty much had the same idea. I want this one then. Feng Jing pointed at a black dragon unabashedly. Lin Yuan, go and choose as well. Lung Ruoxue said to the mercenaries who had been watching eagerly. After hearing what Lung Ruoxue said, Everyone went forward and chose a dragon they liked without caring about the level of the dragon. Lung Ruashue was speechless as she looked at the remaining dragons. 38 were chosen out of the 50 dragons, and 8 of the remaining 12 were actually level 9 holy beasts. Master, what should we do? The other fire dragon, who wasn't picked, asked gloomily. Boo-hoo. Am I so unpopular? No one wanted me. Chapter 247. And it's a bird that curses. 1. Feng Zhan, go invite Big Brother Feng and Hua Qing. Lung Ruashue said to Feng Zhan after some thought. Okay, Feng Zhan replied and immediately went to the wooden house to look for them. Grandpa, they'll send you back to the space first. Lung Ruashue sent everyone and their chosen partners back into the bracelet. Ruashue, why are you looking for us? Hua Qing, who was cultivating, asked curiously after arriving. Big Brother Feng, Hua Qing, choose one each to contract. Lung Ruashue directly said. Hua Qing was stunned and speechless. There were so many dragons. He didn't even notice them just now. Schwerer, I want this one. Feng Moran picked a blue dragon. Lung Ruashue nodded and then said to the depressed fire dragon. Okay. Hey, big guy, how about you acknowledge him as your master? You're red, and he likes red. You two are the most compatible. The fire dragon raised its head, and its big watery eyes examined Hua Qing for a long time. Finally, it nodded, satisfied with this handsome man in red. After making up its mind, the fire dragon took the initiative to enter a soul contract. As the contract array descended, the human and dragon officially became partners. Ruashue, Hua Qing felt the mental connection with the fire dragon and didn't know what to say. This favor was too much. Hua Qing, you don't have to say anything. Just treat it well, Lung Ruashue said directly while looking at the fire dragon. She had always done things based on her mood and didn't need the gratitude of others. I will. Thank you, Hua Qing said, touched. His big hand gently caressed the fire dragon's scales with complex feelings. Meanwhile, Feng Moran also completed the contract with the blue dragon he chose. Give a green spirit pill to your dragons. Lung Ruashue handed each of them a green pill. The two of them put the pill in their dragons' mouths and waited quietly. After a while, heaven and earth laws arrived as expected. The two dragons that were level 9 holy beasts officially advanced and became divine beasts. Master! The two beasts transformed into human form and attached themselves to their new master. They were much calmer and were used to it because the other fire dragon had advanced in front of them. They were only very excited. I'm going to advance too, Feng Moran and Hua Qing said almost simultaneously. With the benefits from the advancement of their beasts, the two of them advanced as expected. After that, their strength soared to peak spiritual sovereign, and they were only one step away from becoming spiritual supremacies. When Hua Qing and Feng Moran were advancing, the two beasts came to Lung Ruashue, bowed deeply, and said with gratitude, Thank you for giving us a chance, Master. Even though they were not Lung Ruakshue's contract beasts, she was still the one who had given them a new life. In their hearts, she was also their master and someone they respected. Lung Ruashue looked at the man and woman in front of her in surprise. She didn't expect the fire dragon to be a female. After transforming into human form, she was actually a hot and sexy great beauty. As long as you have confidence, you will all become the pride of the dragons, Lung Ruashue said knowingly. Schwerer, Ruashue. At this moment, two surprised voices sounded at the same time. Feng Moran and Hua Qing stood in front of Lung Ruashue excitedly. Not bad. You are just one step away from becoming spiritual supremacies, Lung Ruashue said with satisfaction after looking at their strength. It was not easy to advance to spiritual supremacy, but she had heavenly essence pills, so it was only a matter of time before they became spiritual supremacies. But it's very difficult for a peak spiritual sovereign to advance to spiritual supremacy, Hua Qing said calmly and sighed. This is for you. When you're ready, you can advance to spiritual supremacy directly. Lung Ruashue took out 2 heavenly essence pills and handed one to each of them. What pill is this? Hua Qing looked at the milky white pill in his hand in puzzlement. They are called heavenly essence pills. Peak spiritual sovereigns can use them to advance to spiritual supremacy, Lung Ruoxue explained simply. There's actually a pill that can advance people to spiritual supremacy? Hua Qing was surprised. This was too magical. After all, he had never heard of this heavenly essence pill. There are too many types of pills, and it's impossible to know all of them. Moreover, heaven essence pills aren't easy to concoct, so it's normal that no one knows, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. In fact, the difficulty of concocting heaven essence pills did not lie in the level of the pill but the materials needed. That's true, Hua Qing said after some thought. Go back to your rooms and consolidate your cultivation. Lung Ruoxue reminded them when she saw that they were still standing there foolishly. Okay, Shuer, we're going back, Feng Moran said and left with Hua Qing. You don't have to rush. They'll find masters for you. Lung Ruoxue looked at the masterless dragons, who were looking at her with tears in their eyes, with a slight headache. After speaking, Lung Ruoxue sent the remaining 10 dragons into the bracelet and left the Phoenix clan's territory with Feng Zhan. Master, where are we going? Feng Zhan asked curiously. Contract and advance for others, Lung Ruoxue said while leading Feng Zhan to the uninhabited valley where she had advanced. Upon reaching the valley, Lung Ruoxue moved everyone and their beasts out of the bracelet. Grandpa, contract and advance here, Lung Ruoxue said to everyone. Okay. Chapter 248. And it's a bird that curses, too, miss. We are also spiritual sovereigns. Lu Tao and Cui Zhu squeezed past Lin Yuan and spoke in unison. They were really too happy. Not bad. You're actually advanced spiritual sovereigns now. Lung Shui nodded in satisfaction. It seemed like they had been working hard on their cultivation. Lung Ruoxue's gaze turned to the other members of the mercenary group. Well, not bad. Their strength after advancing is higher than I expected. They're all spiritual sovereigns. She was very satisfied with this result. Shuer, Grandpa also advanced. Lung Qingtian complained, unwilling to be ignored by his precious granddaughter. Congratulations, Grandpa, Lung Ruoxue coaxed helplessly. Grandpa is really becoming more and more competitive. Miss, I didn't advance, Feng De said aggrievedly from the side, looking like he was about to cry. Captain, go away. We were also envious when you advanced, Lin Yuan mocked unrestrainedly with a smile. Feng De, they didn't advance either. Lung Ruoxue pointed at the few people who didn't advance. That's right. Captain, we don't have a divine beast yet, one of them said very cooperatively. But he was not worried at all because the advancement would happen sooner or later. Feng De was speechless. You will have one sooner or later, okay? Seeing Feng Da's deflated appearance, everyone present couldn't resist laughing out loud. Feng Zhan, let's leave this place tomorrow. Lung Ruoxue turned to Feng Zhan after sending everyone back to her space. She had already done what she wanted to do, and there was no need to stay any longer. Master, we've already packed up, Feng Zhan said excitedly. After they returned to the Phoenix clan, Lung Ruoxue headed straight for her residence. After returning to the wooden house, Lung Ruoxue went to her room to catch up on her sleep. When she woke up, she went directly to Feng Moran and Hua Qing to inform them that they were leaving tomorrow. As for the elusive Muli, she searched for him several times but couldn't find him. Little Mink, where did Muli go? Do you know? In her room, Lung Ruoxue moved the silver mink out of the space and hugged him in her arms. Shuer, don't worry about him. He won't be lost, the little silver mink said nonchalantly. Okay. But we're leaving tomorrow, Lung Ruoxue said to the little mink. Okay. The little silver mink nodded his fluffy head to show that he knew. Shuer, where are we going after we leave? The little silver mink looked up at Lung Ruoxue with his blue eyes curiously. I don't know. Lung Ruoxue really hadn't thought about where she should go after leaving, but she should find those spiritual deities to settle the score first. She didn't know what had become of the Lingfeng continent as well. Aren't we going home? The little silver mink asked. Not yet. She hadn't even taken her revenge, and it wasn't safe to go home now. Oh, it seems like Schwerer is planning to seek revenge directly. The silver mink pondered. With Schwerer's current strength, it should be easy to deal with those spiritual deities. So he wasn't worried at all. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue moved her grandfather and the others out of the bracelet and asked them to leave the Phoenix clan's territory together with Huaqing. She and Fengzhan then helped the other members of the Phoenix clan move. At the entrance to Grief Remedy Forest, Grandpa Lung, why isn't Ruoxue here yet? Huaqing couldn't help asking worriedly. It had been so long. What important matter did Ruoxue have? Don't be hasty. Wait a while more, Lung Qingtian said helplessly. Even though he, her grandfather, wasn't anxious, this kid was anxious for her. Huaqing, it hasn't been long. Don't worry, Feng Moran comforted. Of course, he knew where Schwerer had gone, but he couldn't tell Huaqing. After waiting for another 2 hours, Long Ruoxue's figure appeared on the sea. Ruoxue is here. Lin Liang was the first to spot her. They saw Long Ruoxue carrying the little silver mink, and on her shoulder stood a small and exquisite fire phoenix. She was lying leisurely on the broad back of a black eagle. Little girl, you sure know how to enjoy life. Old man teased her as soon as Quill landed. Old man, you enjoy it more than I do. Lung Ruoxue glanced at the old man lightly. Let's go. Lung Qingtian interrupted them. After hearing what Lung Qingtian said, everyone took out their dragons together, jumped onto their respective dragons' back, and flew directly over Grief Remedy Forest. Flying away from this lousy place feels really good. Lin Liang sighed with emotion. When they first came, they wouldn't have dared to fly even if they had divine beasts. Yes, except for phoenixes and dragons. Other divine beasts are nothing to those poisonous creatures. They are classic examples of bullying the weak and fearing the strong, Old Man echoed. Master, most of those poisonous creatures don't have any intelligence, so their behavior is just instinct. Dragons and phoenixes are among the top existences of the beast races, so they are afraid, Old Man's dragon explained. Old Man nodded and turned his head to ask, "Oh right, little girl, where are we going?" "Grandpa, what do you think?" Lung Ruoxue asked her grandfather directly. "Let's go to the nearest city and understand the situation of the entire continent first," Lung Qingtian said after some thought. "Okay, let's go," Lung Ruoxue ordered, and the 7 dragons and 1 black eagle brought them to the nearest city. "Wait," Lung Qingtian suddenly said. "What's the matter, Grandpa?" Lung Ruoxue was puzzled. Why did Grandpa suddenly ask us to stop? "Schwer, there seems to be fighting over there." Lung Qingtian frowned and pricked up his ears to listen carefully. "Let's go take a look," Lung Ruoxue said, but she was thinking, why is Grandpa meddling in other people's affairs? This isn't his style. They only realized it was someone they knew when they rushed to the location of the fight. Chapter 249. And it's a bird that curses. 3. Old you, do you need help? Lung Qingtian, who was sitting on his dragon in the sky, shouted happily. It was great to see the old man still alive. In fact, the reason why he came over to take a look whenever he heard someone fighting was that he was afraid that there would be people he knew. Lung Ruoxue looked at the 2 sides of the battle and said in surprise, they actually gathered together. Fighting on the ground, Old Yu heard a familiar voice and searched quickly during a break in the fight, but he found no one. Old Yu, I'm up here, Lung Qingtian reminded kindly. After hearing what his old friend said, Old Yu looked up at the sky, and what he saw almost made him vomit blood. Several giant dragons were circling silently above their heads, and each dragon had a person sitting on it. Most of them were people he knew, but they actually watched them fight the enemies without any intention of helping. "You old things, quickly come down and help," Old Yu roared angrily. At this moment, more and more people discovered them. "Lass, I thought I wouldn't be able to see you anymore." Old Zao, who was also fighting an enemy, said exaggeratedly with mucus and tears in his eyes. "Junior Aunt," Guo Yong and Guo Chang shouted in surprise. Compared to their excitement, the other party was not so happy. "I advise you not to meddle in other people's business." Otherwise, our Sir spiritual deity won't let you go. A spiritual supremacy threatened, but he was terrified in his heart. How can there be so many dragons? What if we insist? Lung Ruoxue asked coldly. They seem to have been threatened. Then you're dead meat. Another spiritual supremacy said boldly. Grandpa, who are these two people? Do you know them? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. It seemed like there were many unknown spiritual supremacies. Lung Qingtian curled his lips and said lightly, How could Grandpa know some nobodies? Damn it, who are you? How dare you humiliate us like this? The leader of the group, a spiritual supremacy, questioned furiously. Hee, old Long, there's actually someone who doesn't recognize you. Lin Liang smiled as he looked at the two spiritual supremacies below with contempt. I'm not a spiritual deity. How can I be remembered? Lung Qingtian said with a smirk. Ink Thunder land. Lung Qingtian ordered his beast. After Ink Thunder landed on the ground, the other beasts also received instructions from their masters to land and surround the two fighting parties. Continue fighting. Don't stop. Go on. We're here to watch the battle, Old Man said with a smile, unable to hide his amusement. The two spiritual supremacies were speechless with anger. How could they fight with these dragons eyeing them? Junior Ant. It's good that you're okay. Guiyong and Guochang went directly to Long Ruoxue's side and began chatting with her. We're all right, but why are you together? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. She really didn't expect to meet them. What a coincidence. We were all being chased, and we accidentally encountered each other, so we stayed together, Guiyong explained. He had already gotten to know Old Yu and his disciple at the general's mansion. After the incident with Lung Ruoxue and the others, he quietly returned to the Artificer Association with Guochang, his brother. After that, the Artificer Association was occupied by those spiritual deities. The three of them, the master and two disciples, were unwilling to submit to the spiritual deities, so they left the Artificer Association and were chased until they met Old Yu. Lass, it's so nice to see you all. Old Zao came over and said warmly. Lung Ruoxue and Old Zao's group of three were chatting, while Lung Qingtian, Lin Liang, and Old Yu were catching up. The two spiritual supremacies and their subordinates, however, were left alone. Even so, they didn't dare to move at all, much less launch a sneak attack. This was because all the beasts were staring at them menacingly. These behemoths would definitely tear them into pieces if they dared to move. Deal with these people, the bored old man suddenly said. The beasts were elated when they heard this. Among these people were two spiritual supremacies and many spiritual sovereigns. It would be greatly beneficial for them if they could absorb their spiritual power. Upon receiving their master's order, the beasts stopped being polite and slowly walked toward their food. These people were forced to stick closer and closer to each other as the circle became smaller and smaller. After getting rid of the enemies and obtaining their spiritual power, the dragons were extremely satisfied. They wiped their mouths with their large claws and quietly found a place to lie down and digest the spiritual power. Lung Ruoxue was flabbergasted as she looked at the dragons refining spiritual power. Old man really isn't wasteful at all. Junior Ant, where did you get these dragons? They're really too awesome, Guiyong said with incomparable envy. Alas, how good would it be if he could also have a dragon? Lass, did you rob Dragon Island? Old Zao was curious as well. That was possible. After all, it was extremely difficult to find traces of dragons on the Lingfeng continent. Why would this young lady do such a thing? Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Old Zao. Junior Ant, I think it's very possible too. Guiyong echoed with a face of realization. He had lived in the general's mansion for a long time, so he more or less knew a little about Lung Ruoxue. I exchanged pills with the Dragon Emperor for these dragons. A few drops of cold sweat dripped down Lung Ruoxue's forehead. Am I someone who likes to rob others in the eyes of this master and his disciples? Then did you exchange something with the Phoenix King for the bird on your shoulder? Old Zao guessed. It was a fire phoenix. An existence as noble as dragons. Chapter 250. And it's a bird that curses. 4. Master, is there anything special about this bird? Guiyong asked, a little puzzled. He wasn't very knowledgeable about spirit beasts. In his opinion, this bird was only a bird that was slightly better looking than ordinary birds. You're the bird. Your whole family are birds. The transformed Feng Zhan roared. He hated being compared to birds the most. And it's a bird that curses. Guiyong muttered to himself. Haha. Lung Ruoxue couldn't resist laughing happily. Guiyong is really too funny. Why didn't I notice it before? Master. Feng Zhan looked at Long Ruoxue aggrievedly, his dark red phoenix eyes brimming with tears. He doesn't know you. Lung Ruoxue comforted. If Feng Zhan hadn't changed his appearance, Guiyong might not be so blind. Disciple, that's a fire phoenix. Old Zhao wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and explained helplessly. His two disciples were only good at refining artifacts, but they weren't as good when it came to other things. Oh, sorry. I've never seen a phoenix before. Guiyong scratched his head, his face red with embarrassment. But you are really much better looking than ordinary birds, Guiyong added. After hearing what Guiyong said, Feng Zhan was completely enraged. Damn it, I told you I'm not a bird. How dare you compare me to a bird? With this thought, Feng Zhan directly flew to Guiyong and pecked his head with his sharp little mouth. It hurts. Junior Ant, your bird has gone crazy. Guiyong covered his head as he dodged around while shouting nonstop. Suddenly, everyone saw a little phoenix covered in flames and glowing colorfully chasing a middle-aged man. Ha ha. Seeing this scene, everyone laughed happily. Let him go. Lung Ruoxue looked at Guiyong, who was running around everywhere, and pleaded on his behalf very kindly. Alas, he should know now what the saying a loose tongue causes trouble meant. Junior Ant, it's so fierce. Guiyong complained with tears in his eyes and a wronged expression on his face as he looked at the arrogant little fire phoenix with some fear. It's your fault for not knowing how to speak. Lung Ruoxue glanced at Guiyong, but she didn't pity him at all. Junior Ant, you're so biased. Guiyong complained. Haha, all right. Stop messing around. Let's talk about your future plans. Lung Qingtian stepped forward to smooth things over, but the smile on his lips showed his good mood. Old Lung, what are your plans? Old Yu asked directly. We have to understand the situation of the entire continent before we can make plans, Lung Qingtian said honestly. They had been staying in the phoenix nest for a while, so they weren't aware of the current situation on the continent. The continent is in a mess now. Basically, all the forces have been occupied by a few spiritual deities. Moreover, many families have submitted to them, and even some of the major associations have surrendered, Old Zhao explained. Initially, all the professional associations were independent and had extraordinary statuses, but there were still black sheep. Alas, are all the spiritual deities together? Lung Ruoxue asked. No, they're all scattered. Each spiritual deity occupies an area of the continent, Old Zhao explained. Hey, do you really have to stand here and chat? My disciple is still injured. Old Yu couldn't help interrupting. Dongfang Yun is injured? Where is he? Lung Ruoxue asked in bewilderment. She didn't seem to have seen any trace of Dongfang Yun. We hid him in a relatively safe place. Old Yu sighed, his face full of concern. The four of them had run here to lure the pursuers away, so it could be said that they had been determined to die. Then let's go to Dongfang Yun and then find a place to plan in detail, Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Good. Let's go quickly. Old Yu urged. He was very worried about his disciples' injuries. After Old Yu and the other three got on Long Qingshan's dragon, everyone flew toward Dongfang Yun's hiding place. This dragon is really good. It flies fast and steady. Old Zhao couldn't stop drooling with envy along the way. It's all right, Lung Qingtian said calmly, but he was overjoyed. This is a dragon. How could it not be good? Old Zhao turned around and asked curiously, Lass, why didn't you get a dragon to play with? I have Quill and a fire phoenix. Lung Ruoxue's pink lips parted slightly to say indifferently. In fact, the main reason was that she thought dragons were too ugly. Moreover, dragon scales were hard, so how could it be as comfortable as sitting on Quill's feathers? As for the fire phoenix, he was too conspicuous, so he was really not suitable to be a mount. That's true. Old Zao nodded in agreement. Alas, the spirit beasts this last possesses are really too enviable. After flying for about 15 minutes, they arrived at a slightly shabby commoner house. This is the place. Old Yu pointed at the residence. Lung Qingtian turned his head and said to Lung Ruoxue, "Swear, Old Yu and I will go in. You all wait here." "Okay, Grandpa, take this. Perhaps Dongfang Yun will need it." Lung Ruoxue took out a bottle of pills from her bracelet and handed it to Lung Qingtian. "Swear, you were so thoughtful," Lung Qingtian praised. He would have forgotten about this if his granddaughter hadn't mentioned it. Lung Qingtian and Old Yu entered the residence to fetch Dongfang Yun, while Lung Ruoxue and the others waited outside. Soon, the fluctuations of advancement emerged from inside. Did someone advance? Lin Liang asked curiously. There were no heaven and earth laws descending, so it should only be an advancement of a small stage. Most likely, Old Man said knowingly. The moment Old Man finished speaking, Lung Qingtian and the other two walked out of the house. It should have been Dongfang Yun's advancement, Lung Ruoxue said as she looked at Dongfang Yun, who had recovered from his injuries and was glowing with light. After his advancement, his strength also reached peak spiritual sovereign. Chapter 251, Cleansing Operation 1, Ruoxue, long time no see, Dongfang Yun said directly to Lung Ruoxue after he appeared in front of everyone. Lung Ruoxue just smiled and didn't answer, but she couldn't help grumbling in her heart, "It hasn't been that long." "All right, lass. Thank you for the pill," Old Yu said gratefully. He originally thought that his disciple's strength would regress even if his injuries were all healed. But he didn't expect his strength to rise instead, making him super happy. "Grandpa Yu is Grandpa's friend, so you don't have to be so polite," Lung Ruoxue said politely. "Let's leave this place quickly and find a place to discuss our next step," Lin Liang urged. "Okay, come up quickly." Lung Qingtian jumped onto Ink Thunder's back and then beckoned Old Yu and his disciple. "Let's go." Lung Qingtian ordered after Old Yu, and Dongfang Yun sat down. "Grandpa, let's go to the illusionary forest," Lung Ruoxue suggested after flying for a while. It was the old home of most of her beasts, and the illusionary forest was relatively safe. "Okay, let's go." Lung Qingtian nodded slightly. That place was indeed a good choice. After making the decision, they flew toward the illusionary forest. "Quill, take us to your residence," Lung Ruoxue said to Quill after entering the forest. "Yes, master." Quill led the way with several dragons following behind him. 10 minutes later, Quill descended in front of a tree that would take 10 people to wrap their arms around. Quill transformed into a little bird and perched on Lung Ruoxue's shoulder. "Grandpa, we're here. Let's go in." Lung Ruoxue walked in first when she saw that everyone was here. "Quill, your home isn't bad," Lung Qingtian exclaimed after entering. There were mountains and rivers, and the environment was quiet and beautiful. It was really a good place. "Hee, it's all right." Quill scratched his little head with his wings shyly. "Everyone, let's stay here for the time being." Lung Ruoxue walked in front of everyone with familiarity. She then took out a lot of food from her ring and placed them on a stone table. "Let's eat something first." "Lass, you guys are too extravagant. How can you eat so well?" Old Zao swallowed his saliva greedily. They had also been on the run, but why were their circumstances so different? These people ate delicious and rare fresh beast meat, while they could only eat dry food. Boo-hoo. Why? Yes, it's truly luxurious. I say, Old Long, why are you eating better than when you were in the general's mansion? Old Yu asked in puzzlement, his face full of question marks. Lung Qingtian stammered. He really didn't know what to say. Should he tell them that they were leading better lives than an emperor? That would be a huge blow to them. He wouldn't do such a thing. "Haha, abusing our stomachs is the last thing we should do on the run," Old Man said. Yes, that's right. Long Qingtian and the others nodded in agreement. Lass, am homeless, so we'll follow you from now on, old Zao said pitifully with a bitter face. Junior Aunt, me too, Guo Yong and Guo Chang said in unison, and their faces clearly said, Junior Aunt, you can't leave us alone. Lung Ruox's forehead was full of black lines. Are these fellows planning to rely on me? But she knew very well that these people didn't have any ill intentions toward her. Moreover, they might even be her helpers in the future. It's not impossible to follow me, but I want absolute loyalty, and betrayal is forbidden, Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Junior Aunt, we are more loyal than little dogs. Guo Yong and Guo Chang quickly tried to suck up to her, their faces full of fawning expressions. Their master said before that they would definitely have a future following Lung Ruoxue, so they would spare no effort to stay by her side. Of course, this was also their master's order. Lass, am yours from now on. I will never head west if you ask me to go east. I'll do whatever you ask me to, and I promise I'll listen to you, old Zao promised with his hand raised. You damn old man, Scram. Am Schwer's person. The little silver mink, who had been lying in Long Ruox's arms, was instantly enraged. Damn old man, how dare you snatch Schwer away from me? Humph. I absolutely won't forgive you. All of us are, all right? Old Zao hurriedly coaxed after seeing the little mink's sharp little claws. No, Schwer is mine, the little silver mink said domineeringly. Yes, okay. The lass is yours, and am yours. That should do, right? Old Zao said reluctantly. Boo-hoo. A mink is actually bullying me. I don't want you. The little silver mink roared angrily, so angry that the fur on his body was about to stand on end. What I mean is that the lass is yours, and I'm hers, which is equivalent to being yours, old Zao explained patiently. Boo-hoo. Why is this mink so difficult to deal with? He's so not adorable. Shut up, both of you. No one is allowed to speak. Lung Ruoxue couldn't bear it anymore. A few drops of cold sweat dripped down her forehead unconsciously. What is this? The human and mink immediately shut their mouths obediently. They didn't dare to speak anymore, but they stole glances at her with pitiful little eyes from time to time. Hee, Schwer, they're pretty obedient, Lung Qingtian said with a smile, his heart blooming with joy. Idiot. Old Yu rolled his eyes at old Zao, despising him in his heart. Even if he wants to stay, he doesn't have to do that. We don't even need to say anything, and can just express it with our actions. Stop standing there. Come here to prepare the food instead. Otherwise, we won't have anything to eat later, said Lin Liang, who was cleaning up the ingredients with Dongfang Yun. Sigh, the group is getting livelier by the day. Chapter 252, Cleansing Operation 2.0 coming. Lung Qingtian and the others hurriedly ran over to help when they heard that there might not be any food later. Lung Ruoxue picked up a piece of cleaned meat and started grilling it. It smells so good. Old Zao sniffed. The meat the last grill smells so good. Of course. Old man rolled his eyes at him disdainfully. You. Humph. I want bicker with you, old Zao said magnanimously, and turned to focus on gathering the ingredients. Lung Ruoxue pondered as she watched the two old men bicker. They're about the same age, so they should know each other, right? But their relationship seems a little strange. At least, this was what she felt. The meal quickly ended amid commotion. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, everyone sat together and began discussing. Grandpa, I'm going out for a while, Lung Ruoxue suddenly said. She needed to confirm the exact location of the spiritual deities before she could arrange what to do next. I'll go with you, Dongfang Yun said. Okay. Then Lung Ruoxue and Dongfang Yun each took an appearance-changing pill and left the illusionary forest. On the streets of Phoenix City, an ordinary-looking man and woman in their early 20s appeared. The woman was carrying a silver mink in her arms, and on each side of her shoulders stood a small bird, one red and the other black. Although they looked ordinary, their inherent noble temperament made them impossible to ignore. They walked into a restaurant, found a random spot in the dining room on the first floor, and sat down. Hello, what would you like to eat? a waiter asked respectfully after coming to their table. Anything will do, Lung Ruoxue replied lightly. Please wait a moment. The waiter bowed and left. Swear, there should also be a spiritual deity in Phoenix City, Dong Fongyun whispered. These 2 days, they had run to several places and had already found out the exact locations of those spiritual deities. This should be the last place they checked. Yes, Lung Ruoxue answered softly. At this moment, the waiter brought the food over. Has anything new happened in Phoenix City recently? Lung Ruoxue asked the waiter. Hee, of course. Recently, our city lord is preparing to choose a wife and some concubines, so it's very lively, the waiter said hurriedly while looking at Lung Ruoxue. Oh, those people actually have the mood to marry and take concubines. Are they planning to stay here for a long time? Is there anything else? Dong Fongyun stuffed an amethyst coin into the waiter's hand. I also heard that Lung Ruoxue and the others, whom several city lords have offered a joint bounty on, have appeared. The city lords are discussing a strategy, the waiter whispered with a mysterious expression. Then he carefully looked around to avoid being discovered. Really? Lung Ruoxue pretended to be surprised, her face full of curiosity. Of course it's true. Everyone is spreading it. But it's such a pity for such a great beauty, the waiter said regretfully. Dong Fongyun glanced at Lung Ruoxue, who was sitting opposite him, and couldn't help asking, why is it a pity? Isn't it a pity that such a great beauty is about to perish? But maybe the city lord will be protective of the fairer sex and take her in as a concubine, the waiter said without even noticing that Lung Ruoxue's face was turning uglier and uglier. Let's go. Lung Ruoxue stood up, displeased. Did I say something wrong? The waiter murmured to himself as he watched the two leave. Swear, that waiter didn't do it on purpose. Dong Fongyun consoled as they walked side by side on the streets of Phoenix City. I know. I won't take the matter to heart with the waiter, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. Let's go back, lest Grandpa and the others become anxious from waiting. Lung Ruoxue continued. Dong Fongyun nodded. They found a remote corner and flew out of Phoenix City. Grandpa, we're back. Lung Ruoxue shouted as soon as they returned to Quill's residence. Hee lass, you're finally back. We've been waiting anxiously, old Zao rushed to say. We went to several places, so we took some time, Lung Ruoxue explained and found a random place to sit down. Swear, how was it? Lung Qingtian asked directly. His granddaughter went out for 2 days, so she should have gained something, right? Grandpa, we went to 6 places. The 6 spiritual diters are each occupying a city as their main city, and they also call themselves city lords. Lung Ruoxue gave a simple explanation of the situation. Grandpa Lung, those spiritual deities don't care about us at all. They only know to eat, drink, and play around every day. Their lives are extremely luxurious and decadent. Many people complain, but they can only swallow their anger, Dong Fongyun added. The current Lingfeng continent was far more chaotic than they had imagined. Grandpa, it seems that we'll have to split up into 6 groups to destroy them at the same time. Moreover, we can't let them run away, lest they contact the upper realm. Lung Ruoxue revealed her plan. Yes, it wouldn't only be a disaster for us, but also for the entire Lingfeng continent if they contact the upper realm. Lung Qingtian nodded in agreement. Then let's discuss a detailed plan, Lin Liang said. After discussing for several hours, planning for countless unexpected events that might occur, and coming up with countermeasures to deal with them, Lung Ruoxue and the others split up. Lung Ruoxue led Guiyong, Guochang, and Dong Fongyun straight to Phoenix City. Outside the gates of Phoenix City, Junior Aunt, shall we go directly to the city lord's mansion? Guiyong asked curiously. No, go and destroy those small fries. They'll go to the city lord's mansion by myself, Lung Ruoxue said and released a few fire phoenixes. Big sister, please go with them, Lung Ruoxue said to the transformed Fenglinger. Chapter 253, Cleansing Operation 3, Okay. Don't worry, little sister Ruoxue. I won't let those fence-sitters go, Fenglinger said angrily. The Phoenix clan hated those rotten people that swayed left and right with the wind to their core. Thank you, big sister. Long Ruashue motioned for Quill to fly toward the city lord's mansion. What are you waiting for? Let's go. Feng Linger urged impatiently after Long Ruashue left. She was impatient and hated being so slow. Yes, Guiyong quickly responded, but he couldn't help muttering in his heart, Junior Ant has so many beasts. At this moment, Long Ruashue had already arrived above the city lord's mansion. This spiritual deity had occupied the imperial palace as his residence. Moreover, he was holding a banquet. In the grand hall of the palace, extravagant and absurd scenes were playing out. The guests were all men, and each of them was holding a woman in their arms. These women were dressed very revealingly, almost naked. Long Ruashue looked down from the sky, furious. Who do these damn beasts think they are? How dare they toy with women like this? But she was even angrier with the weakness of these women, who were willing to become playthings for those stinky men. Feng Zhan. Long Ruashue called out softly. Master, leave these people to me. Feng Zhan's dark red phoenix eyes were terrifyingly cold and filled with killing intent. Anyone who roused his master's displeasure deserved to die. Feng Zhan flew around in the air, found a good spot, and then gently spit out a flame the size of a baby's fist. There's a fire. Someone, come and put out the fire. Chaos immediately broke out below. The guests attending the banquet were at a loss for what to do. They couldn't run, nor did they dare to run. They could only stay stiff on the spot because the city lord hadn't moved. Everyone, there's no need to be afraid. It's just a small accident. You don't have to worry about it. The spiritual deity, who was sitting on the dragon throne, smiled as he tried to calm them down. But he despised these people in his heart. What can they do with such little guts? This isn't an accident. A clear and pleasant voice spread into the hall. Immediately after, a beautiful young girl of empire-toppling beauty walked in leisurely, surrounded by several small and cute beasts. All the guests were stunned. Long Ruashue. Haha. The spiritual deity suddenly laughed happily. This was great. They were sending people everywhere to look for her, but Long Ruashue unexpectedly came knocking on their door. She's Long Ruashue, someone exclaimed in amazement among the guests. Are you that happy to see me? Long Ruashue raised her eyebrows slightly. Haha, of course I'm happy. If I can capture you and offer you to young master, I will have done a meritorious deed, the spiritual deity said proudly, his expression becoming more excited. Even though he was enjoying life on the Lingfeng continent, he didn't want to stay here forever. He had to go back sooner or later. So if he could please the young master, he would be able to soar in the future. Young master? How does your young master know me? Has he seen me before? Long Ruashue probed after hearing that something was amiss. Of course. It's your honor that our young master is interested in you. If you know what's good for you, just surrender quietly. I promise I won't let you suffer any physical pain. Or else, don't blame me for being cruel and merciless. The spiritual deity threatened with both soft and hard methods. Long Ruashue rolled her eyes speechlessly. Is this considered as someone taking a fancy to me again? Men from the Su family really like to cause trouble for me. I wonder which one of us is crueler? I'm really curious. Long Ruashue smiled lightly, but killing intent emerged in her cold, beautiful eyes. Not only this spiritual deity, but no one can escape, including the minions helping this evildoer. Haha, you're just a spiritual supremacy. How dare you challenge a spiritual deity? You're really gutsy. The spiritual deity laughed even more joyfully, as though he had just heard a hilarious joke. You'll know when you try, Long Ruashue said calmly. She didn't hide her strength because she wasn't afraid that he would know. Come out, Long Ruashue said softly to the void. As soon as she finished speaking, countless silver wolves instantly appeared in the main hall. All the guests present had their mouths agape in disbelief as they looked at the tall and mighty silver wolves. Some of the more timid ones directly collapsed onto the ground in fright, and liquid even flowed out from under their butts. Long Ruashue glanced at the guests present and said to the silver wolves, I'll leave these people to you. No, you can't do this. Some crazy guests shouted loudly, but most people were scared silly by Long Ruoxia's words. Do it, Long Ruoxia ordered coldly. These people deserve to die. Yes, master. After receiving Long Ruoxia's order, the Silver Wolves fully utilized their advantage in group combat. All of them swarmed forward and tore everyone present into pieces within a few minutes. The spiritual deity glared at Long Ruoxia, so angry that he couldn't speak. These damn Silver Wolves were too fast. Those people had already disappeared before he could unleash his might. Silver Wings, go out and look for any fish that slipped through the net, Long Ruoxia ordered. Yes, master. Silver Wings received his master's order and left with the Silver Wolves. You're the only one left now, Long Ruoxia reminded with a smile. Master, leave this fellow to me, Fengzhan said eagerly. He kept flapping his small wings and acted cute in front of Long Ruoxia. Master, I haven't exercised in a long time as well, Quill said aggrievedly while looking directly at Long Ruoxia. Boo-hoo. I want to fight too. Chapter 254. Cleansing Operation 4. Master. Charm called out softly but didn't say anything. He just stared at Long Ruoxia with his beautiful purple eyes. You don't have to compete anymore. Leave this fellow for me to practice on, Long Ruoxia said resolutely, but her face was full of helplessness. Alas, these beasts were all her favorite. She couldn't bear to scold or beat them, so she could only be eaten alive by them. Boo-hoo. Look at me. I'm a master without much dignity, but she couldn't be blamed for this. She could only blame her beasts for being too cute. Master, you can do it. Teach this thing a good lesson. Dazzle yelled out. You are the things. Damn it. The spiritual deity roared furiously. Oh, so you're nothing. No wonder. All the beasts seemed to have realized something important. Haha. Long Ruoxia couldn't resist laughing. Must my beasts be so cute? Long Ruoxia, I won't let you go, the spiritual deity said angrily. He originally wanted to use her to please the young master, but now he only wanted to kill this damn woman. Long Ruoxia nodded understandingly and said very seriously, I won't let you go either. Aha! The spiritual deity took out a long saber and slashed at Long Ruoxia without hesitation. How ungentlemanly! Long Ruoxia mocked calmly. She dodged the saber's attack agilely and released Feather of the Fire Phoenix at the same time. Long Ruoxia, is that your spiritual power? The spiritual deity said disdainfully when he saw the feather that was not even as thick as his finger. This is enough to deal with you, Long Ruoxia said lightly, obviously looking down on him. I will make you regret it. The spiritual deity dodged the feather's attack and slashed with his saber again. The saber beam contained countless cold and sinister killing intents, and the water attribute's spiritual power contained in it was so intense that it almost froze into ice. But in the blink of an eye, he was stunned. How is this possible? That little feather actually multiplied? There was only one feather, but there were countless feathers now that he attacked. Suddenly, the entire hall was full of small, fiery red, and dazzling feathers. The feathers gathered slowly together to form a sphere, and the sphere slowly floated forward as though it was taking a stroll. Float, float. After floating to the spiritual deity's side, it surrounded him. At the same time, the saber beam from the spiritual deity reached Long Ruoxia. Long Ruoxia gently raised her hand, and a stream of fiery red spiritual power built a wall for her, blocking the saber beam outside. Aha! Suddenly, there was a miserable scream in the main hall. Surrounded by feathers, the spiritual deity rolled on the ground. Before long, his voice became weaker and weaker until there was no more sound. Long Ruoxia glanced at the spiritual deity, who had been burned to ashes. After confirming that this fellow was dead, she said to her beast, Let's go. After sending all the silver wolves into her space, Long Ruoxia left the palace with a group of beasts. Not far from the palace, Lung Ruoxue ran into Dongfang Yun and the others, who came looking for her. Junior aunt, why is the palace on fire? Guiyong couldn't help asking curiously when he saw the flames shooting into the sky. I don't think there's anyone left to put out the fire in the palace. Lung Ruoxue explained after some thought. Feng Zhan started the fire, but all the servants in the palace were scared away after they entered, so no one put out the fire. Oh, Junior aunt, where are we going now? Let's go back to the general's mansion to take a look, Lung Ruoxue said. She had left for so long, but she didn't know what her home had become due to those people. Okay. After deciding their destination, Lung Ruoxue and the others walked toward the general's mansion. Upon reaching the general's mansion, Lung Ruoxue pushed open the gates and walked in. At this time, apart from the house still being intact, the other decorations, furnishings, and so on were all lost and destroyed. It was a tragic sight. Lung Ruoxue let the beasts out again and asked them to help clean up. After cleaning for 2 days, Lung Ruoxue refined the original decorations and furnishings according to her memory, and the entire general's mansion returned to its original appearance. Grandpa should be happy to see this, right? I wonder how they're doing. Lung Ruoxue said to her brother beside her, while standing in the garden of the general's mansion. She had secretly let her brother and the others out when no one was around. They should be back in 2 days, Lung Ruhan guessed. Schwer had already sent Quill to inform them, so some people should be on their way back. Big brother, when do you intend to advance to spiritual supremacy? Lung Ruoxue suddenly asked curiously. Both Big Brother Feng and Hua Qing were already spiritual supremacies. I'm not in a hurry. I can advance with Dongfang Yun. Lung Ruhan smiled lightly. His advancement was just a matter of time with the heavenly essence pill, so he was not in a hurry at all. Haha, Schwer, Ruhan, Grandpa is back. Suddenly, a loud roar sounded in the sky. Lung Ruoxue and Lung Ruhan looked up at the same time and saw a mighty black dragon appearing above their heads. It was circling around as though it was looking for a suitable landing spot. Ink Thunder landed lightly after finding a spot. Lung Qingtian jumped off the dragon's back together with Old Yu. Grandpa, you're finally back. Lung Ruoxue threw herself into Long Qingshan's arms. Haha, your granddaughter is so caring. That stinky brat never lets me hug him, Old Yu said with envy. Of course. Lung Qingtian rolled his eyes at his friend proudly. Grandpa, do you have something against me? Lung Ruhan complained, his face full of grievances. Chapter 255. Which one did you abduct? 1. No. You are also my good grandson. Lung Qingtian felt a headache coming on. Heavens! Ruhan actually learned to act coquettishly. Such a stunningly beautiful man acting coquettishly and cute is asking for my life. Haha, I say, Old Lung. Looks like you are definitely going to be eaten alive by your grandchildren. Old Yu laughed loudly. It's none of your business. I'm happy. Lung Qingtian said nonchalantly with a glare. I can't be bothered with you. Where is my disciple? Old Yes' eyes kept looking around for his precious disciple. He's in seclusion, Lung Ruoxue explained kindly. Seclusion? Why seclusion at this time? Old Yu was puzzled. Isn't the timing just right now that things are almost settled? Lung Ruoxue said as a matter of fact. Oh, that's true. Old Yu thought about it. What this girl said made a lot of sense, so he didn't continue worrying that his disciple hadn't come out to welcome him. Grandpa Yu, did everything go smoothly on your side? Lung Ruoxue asked with concern. Among the teams, she was the closest to her goal, so she was also the first to complete the task. Very smooth, Lung Qingtian said happily. It was child's play to deal with a spiritual deity with 2 divine beasts in his hands. Look, I don't have a divine beast yet. Can you give me one of those masterless dragons in your hand? From now on, we master and disciple will be yours. Old Yu thickened his face to ask. He had never done such a thing in all his life, so his face was a little hot. Lung Ruoxue glanced at her grandfather. Seeing him nod slightly, she said directly, Okay, Which one does Grandpa you fancy? Before the other 5 teams set off, she had lent them the 10 masterless dragons in case of emergencies. Therefore, she wasn't surprised that Grandpa you would thicken his skin to ask her for one. She agreed readily. After all, he had been a good friend of her grandfather for many years. Most importantly, Long Ruashue trusted her grandfather's judgment in judging people. Old Yu was stunned, and then he said very happily, I want the black one. This girl is really straightforward. I didn't expect it at all. Lung Qingtian released the 2 dragons from his pet ring. They transformed immediately and bowed to Long Ruashue.
Master.
Black Dragon, Grandpa Yu wants to take you in as a contract beast, Long Ruashue said while looking at the mini-dragon. The black mini-dragon glanced at the short, chubby old man and nodded. I am willing. Contract, Long Ruashue urged. She knew that these few level 9 dragons had been waiting to advance.
Yes.
The mini-dragon nodded and took the initiative to enter a soul contract. After the contract was formally established, Old Yu happily hugged the black mini-dragon. Boo-hoo. I finally have a divine beast. Wait, not yet. Old Yu was embarrassed and stammered. Take it. Long Ruashue directly handed him a green pill, but she couldn't help laughing in her heart. This old man also has moments when he's embarrassed. Come on, let's go in advance, Old Yu said impatiently while holding the pill in his hand. Master, come on to my back. The mini black dragon instantly enlarged and flew into the air. Haha, this day has finally arrived, but it seems like Master is even more anxious than me. Master, the remaining blue dragon looked at Long Ruashue with watery eyes and a sad face. No rush. You're only level 8. Long Ruashue comforted it and sent it into her space. Swear, if Grandpa is right, old Zao won't let those dragons go either, Lung Qingtian said with a smug smile. What are your intentions, Grandpa? Lung Ruashue asked with a nod. That old man from the Artificer Association is like old Yu, a loner. Of course, it would be best if we can use him, Lung Qingtian said after some thought. His granddaughter needed help, so from now on, they had to pay attention to the available people. Obviously, Old Yu and Old Zao were very suitable candidates. Okay, Lung Ruashue nodded. In fact, she also had this thought. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been so generous. Grandpa, the others haven't returned yet. Nothing happened, right? Lung Ruashue asked worriedly. No need to worry, Lung Qingtian comforted. All of them were smart, so there was no need to worry. Haha, Old Zao, am back? Lung Ruashue and the others heard the shout and looked up at the same time to see 3 dragons flying in the sky. Lin Liang, who had returned with Old Zao, was sitting on a dragon's back with a gloomy face. What happened, Grandpa Lin? Lung Ruashue couldn't help asking curiously after Lin Liang's dragon descended. Ask him. Lin Liang snorted and turned his face away to avoid looking at the smug old man. Lass, I was just being kind and got him to let the 2 dragons out of the pet ring. As an artificer, I know very well how uncomfortable it is to be stored in a pet ring. That's why he threw a tantrum at me, Old Zao explained with a perfectly guileless look. It's obviously because you want to be in the limelight. Why are you still finding excuses? Lin Liang roared with a black face. How am I? I just want to bond with them, Old Zao said without any shame. Which one did you abduct? Lung Ruashue realized what was going on and rolled her eyes at Old Zao. Lass, you're the best. Old Zao said happily, almost dancing with joy. I have my eyes on that blue one. Lass, give it to me. Old Zao continued without any embarrassment on his face. Then contract with it. Lung Ruashue nodded helplessly. This was within her expectations, so she went with the flow. Chapter 256. Which one did you abduct? 2. Haha, lass, thanks. It'll definitely do anything for you in the future, Old Zao said obsequiously, and then patted the blue dragon on the head. Little Blue, let's contract quickly. The lass agreed. The blue dragon glanced at Long Ruashue nodded, and initiated the contract. Let's see who still dares to bully me in the future, old Zao said cockily after completing the contract. He was basking in reflected glory, which was extremely infuriating. Take it in advance. Lung Ruoxue handed old Zao a green spirit pill helplessly. Little Blue, let's go. Hee hee. You're going to become a divine beast, old Zao said impatiently. He hopped onto the blue dragon's back and flew out of the general's mansion to find a place to advance. Grandpa Lin, did everything go smoothly? Lung Ruoxue asked with concern after seeing Lin Liang's still gloomy face. Very smooth. Although that old man seems a little unreliable, he's very straightforward and efficient when it comes to official business, Lin Liang explained. This was also one of the main reasons why he was willing to indulge old Zao so much. Lung Ruoxue nodded slightly. Now, the three teams led by Old Man, Patriarch Feng, and the First Elder have yet to return. They're quite far away. They should be back by tomorrow or the day after tomorrow at the latest, Lin Liang said. They had agreed to meet in the illusionary forest after resolving the matter, but they didn't expect this girl to return to the general's mansion first. Grandpa Lin, go back to your rooms to rest first, Lung Ruoxue suggested. She had already tidied up the general's mansion and prepared everyone's room. Shuer, send us into the space, Lung Qingtian said. He was used to sleeping in the space, so it would be uncomfortable if he went back to his room to sleep. Okay. Lung Ruoxue sent the two of them and the dragons into the bracelet with a thought. Big brother, shall we sit here for a while? Lung Ruoxue asked when she saw only the siblings remained in the garden. Shuer, let's have hot pot tonight, Lung Ruhan couldn't help saying after they sat down. During this period of time, they had been staying in the space and hadn't had hot pot for a long time. Okay, I'll listen to Big Brother. I'll arrange for Fengda and the others to prepare. Lung Ruoxue stood up and went directly to find Fengda. After instructing him, she returned to the garden to accompany her brother. Not long later, Old Yu and Old Zao returned to the general's mansion. At night, everyone and the beasts gathered together and began to enjoy hot pot. The next day, the other three teams returned to the general's mansion one after another. Everyone gathered again and had a lively time to celebrate the successful completion of the matter. Peace finally returned to the Lingfeng continent. After several days of settlement, the influence that the spiritual deities brought to the Lingfeng continent gradually faded, and the people slowly forgot many people and matters that happened. But Lung Ruoxue and the others had long become deeply ingrained in the hearts of people, and they had even become a legend on the entire Lingfeng continent, forever engraved in people's hearts. Half a year later, in the garden of General Lung's mansion, Miss, someone from the mercenary union requests an audience. Lu Tao stood in front of Lung Ruoxue, her face full of adoration. Didn't I say that I won't see anyone? Lung Ruoxue, who was lying on a recliner with her eyes closed and the little mink in her arms to bask in the sun, frowned slightly. During this half a year, the people of the Lingfeng continent had resumed their normal lives and didn't have to be afraid every day. The major associations had also been rebuilt. But the number of people who came to the general's mansion to visit her suddenly increased, making her very annoyed. Miss, young Master Ju Ri came with the people from the mercenary union, Lu Tao explained. Let Ju Ri in. No one else, Lung Ruoxue ordered directly without giving any face. Yes, Mississippi. Lu Tao turned and left. Soon after, Lu Tao led Ju Ri into the garden. Haha, Ruoxue. I told them long ago that you wouldn't see them, but they just didn't give up and insisted on coming. Don't blame me. Ju Ri quickly explained after seeing Lung Ruoxue. He didn't want this girl to misunderstand. I understand. I just don't know why I need to see them, Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. Although the Blazing Flame mercenary group was under the jurisdiction of the mercenary union in theory, she believed that the mercenary union wouldn't dare to manage her, so those people were definitely not here for any good reason. The Alchemist Association and the Beast Trainer Association have looked for you frequently, right? Ju Ri asked with a face full of understanding. Oh, Big Brother Ju, you broke through, Lung Ruoxue suddenly said. During the time she had not seen him, Ju Ri had become an intermediate spiritual sovereign. My cultivation speed is too embarrassing compared to you monsters. Moreover, it was because of the spirit fruit you gave me, Ju Ri said helplessly. He had been at peak spiritual monarch for a long time and had yet to break through. If not for the fruit Ruoxue gave him, he really didn't know when he would become a spiritual sovereign. Big Brother Ju, if your mercenary group can capture a level 9 holy beast, I will give you a green spirit pill to help it advance, Long Ruoxue promised. The two major mercenary groups, Hurricane and Universe, had always been on good terms with her since she saved them last time. Long Ruoxue also had a good impression of those hot-blooded and forthright men in these two major mercenary groups, so she would help as much as she could on simple things. Ruoxue, I really want to capture a level 9 holy beast, but I'm afraid it's impossible with the strength of our mercenary group. Ju Ri sighed with some regret. Big Brother Ju, you can lure them with benefits. Level 9 holy beasts are all smart. If you force it, it will only cause both sides to suffer. Long Ruoxue reminded with a light smile. Lure? Is that possible? Ju Ri looked at Long Ruoxue doubtfully. Are level 9 holy beasts so easy to entice? How would you know if you don't try? Many of my beasts delivered themselves to my door, Long Ruoxue said proudly. We'll give it a try if there's a chance. Ju Ri nodded seriously. Chapter 257. Which one did you abduct? 3. They chatted for a while more, and then Ju Ri got up to leave. Lu Tao, no one will bother me anymore, right? Her eyes closed. Long Ruoxue asked Lu Tao, who was not far away. There should be no one else, Lu Tao replied, somewhat dumbfounded. It seems like Miss really hates socializing. Mississippi. Fengde walked into the garden just as Lu Tao finished speaking. Lu Tao stood in front of Fengde like an old hen and shouted with a displeased face, "What are you doing here? Miss is going to sleep." Tower, I have something to tell Mississippi. Fengde scratched his head shyly. I told you not to call me Tower, Lu Tao said unhappily while rolling her eyes at Fengde, but her cheeks were slightly red, and her expression was a little unnatural. It's nice to be called Tower. How endearing, Long Ruoxue, who was pretending to be sleeping with her eyes closed, suddenly said. In fact, she had long discovered that there was something going on between the two of them, but she had been pretending not to know anything. But now, she wanted to tease them. To be honest, seeing that they were not making much progress, she was a little anxious. Alas, she didn't want this pair of lovers to be as dull-witted as she was and only know the importance of each other after losing each other. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but feel lucky that Freak was not dead. She just didn't know when he would return to her side. Miss, Lu Tao blushed and ran away. Fengde, why aren't you chasing after her? Long Ruoxue urged Fengde, who was standing there foolishly. Fengde reacted and hurriedly chased after her. We can finally have some peace and quiet. Long Ruoxue raised the little silver mink in her arms to her eyes. Schwer, why do you always like to lift me up? The little mink said unhappily. I'm totally exposed in this position. Boo-hoo. Haha. Because I find you more adorable this way, Long Ruoxue said with a chuckle. For the past half a year, her grandfather and the others had all gone into seclusion. She moved all the people she had hidden, apart from the students of the Heavenly Phoenix Academy and the members of the imperial family of the Southern Dusk Empire, into the space to live at the request of Old Man and Patriarch Feng. She also sent Old Yu and the others in at the same time. Her team was growing. Moreover, almost everyone chose to enter seclusion simultaneously after entering the space. Now, only she, the little mink, Lu Tao, and Fengde were staying in the huge general's mansion. 2 hours later, Fengde and Lu Tao appeared holding hands in front of Long Ruoxue. Fengde, you're not allowed to bully Lu Tao, Long Ruoxue warned half-jokingly. Miss, Lu Tao's beautiful face blushed shyly, slightly embarrassed. Miss, don't worry. Lu Tao will be the head of our family from now on. I definitely won't dare to bully her, Feng De promised very seriously. His handsome face was full of satisfaction. He, who was an orphan, finally had a family. Very good. Lung Ruoxue nodded in satisfaction. By the way, miss, the president of the mercenary union just came to see me, Feng De said. What's the matter? Lung Ruoxue asked with a frown. He said that our Blazing Flame mercenary group can already advance to an rank mercenary group, so he wants us to advance, Feng De quickly explained. Is that all? Lung Ruoxue raised her eyebrows in disbelief. Yes, he didn't say anything else. Miss, should we advance? Feng De couldn't help asking. What for? Troublesome. I think F rank is pretty good, Lung Ruoxue said without much interest. But she couldn't help wondering if the mercenary union was so free that it had the time to think about such a trivial matter. Yes, F rank is so different. Feng De quickly echoed. Fortunately, he had long guessed that the young lady would not be interested, so he didn't decide on his own to upgrade the mercenary group's rank. Sigh. I wonder how long Grandpa and the others plan to be in seclusion? Lung Ruoxue murmured to herself as she looked at the slightly deserted general's mansion. Miss, are you bored? Why don't we take on some mercenary missions to have fun? Lu Tao suggested. She was also a little bored staying at home all day. Okay. Feng De, go to Hurricane and see if there are any missions. Tell them to count us in, Lung Ruoxue ordered. She didn't want Feng De to go to the mercenary union to take on missions. That would attract too much attention, and her principle was to keep a low profile. We'll go right away, Feng De quickly replied and turned to leave. An hour later, Feng De returned. Miss, they just received a training mission, Feng De reported. Where are we going? Lung Ruoxue asked lightly without even looking up. To the misty woods. There? It's boring there. The level of the spirit beasts is low. Get them to go to the illusionary forest. Lung Ruoxue suggested after some thought. I already mentioned it to them. Alas. He knew that his young lady wouldn't be satisfied with the misty woods, so he had already told them in advance. Moreover, Ju Ri happened to want to go to the illusionary forest to look for holy beasts, so he agreed without even thinking. In fact, only fools would disagree. When do we set off? Tomorrow morning. Oh, then let's rest early today. Lung Ruoxue returned to her room. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue and the others arrived at the Hurricane Mercenary Group's headquarters on time. 3 months ago, the Hurricane Mercenary Group had moved their headquarters from lunar capital to Phoenix City. Upon seeing Lung Ruoxue, Commander Ju took the initiative to greet her warmly. Hehe, Ruoxue. You're here. Uncle Ju, Grandpa, and the others are in seclusion. I came here because I was bored, not to snatch business from you. Lung Ruoxue teased. Chapter 258. Which one did you abduct? 4. Ruoxue, let's go. Ju Ri was already standing beside Lung Ruoxue at this moment. Lung Ruoxue nodded, and the group left the Hurricane Mercenary Group's headquarters and set off for the agreed-upon location. Looking at their backs as they left, Commander Ju couldn't help sighing in his heart. He really didn't know what kind of man was worthy of such an outstanding girl. Big Brother Ju, what kind of person is the client? Lung Ruoxue chatted with Ju Ri on the way. A new aristocratic family, I guess. Ju Ri explained. Oh, I hope he isn't some useless rich second-generation heir, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. Currently, there was only one country on the Lingfeng continent, the Southern Dusk Empire. After the spiritual deities were eliminated, the old patriarch of the Eastern Lagoon Empire made it clear that they were not establishing their own country. Therefore, the Southern Dusk Empire became the only country on the continent and changed its name to the Great Southern Dusk Empire. Moreover, other than the original territory of the Eastern Lagoon Empire, all the areas on the Lingfeng continent had already become the territory of the Great Southern Dusk Empire. Of course, this was also tacitly approved by Lung Ruoxue and the others. In addition to the establishment of the Great Southern Dusk Empire with irresistible force, many aristocratic families emerged like bamboo shoots after the rain. But the current families could not be compared with the former 5 great families because they were completely under the jurisdiction of the imperial authority. As the former number 1 family, the Hua family naturally didn't want to be controlled by others. Therefore, the Hua family set up their family in the second largest city in the Eastern Lagoon Empire and changed its name to Fire City. After several months of hard work, the Hua family regained its position as the number 1 family. Hua Qing had returned to the family after the patriarch of the Hua family found him. He was still the young master of the Hua family. Even though the current Eastern Lagoon Empire didn't have an imperial family, it adopted the system of city lords managing it. However, it was not easy to become a city lord. You had to go through numerous assessments and tests to become a city lord. After the tests, the citizens would vote in the end. It could be said that Long Ruoxue had brought the democratic system of her previous world over. Probably not. I've already explained the conditions to them clearly. Zhu Ri smiled. He admired the rules of the Blazing Flame mercenary group, and he had implemented certain regulations according to them. So now, the cohesion and loyalty of the entire mercenary group were incomparable to before. I hope so. Big Brother Zhu. A beautiful girl dashed over like a butterfly before Long Ruoxue, and the others reached the gathering point. Long Ruoxue raised her eyebrows slightly when she saw the girl, and she glanced at Zhu Ri with a bit of teasing. It seems that Big Brother Zhu is lucky in love. I hope she isn't a troublesome rotten love interest, Long Ruoxue thought. Ruoxue, don't talk nonsense. I've only met her once. There's nothing between us. Zhu Ri rolled his eyes helplessly. His mind was on cultivation now, so he had no time to think about these trivial things. Alas, it seems that Ruoxue has been too bored recently. Big Brother Zhu, you're finally here. The beautiful girl had already run to Zhu Ri, but she only had eyes for Zhu Ri and automatically filtered Long Ruoxue and the others beside Zhu Ri out. Long Ruoxue and the others tactfully left Zhu Ri's side to avoid becoming third wheels. Xiangdong, who is that woman? Fengde asked curiously. She's the client of our mission, the daughter of a newly risen aristocratic family, the captain of the Hurricane Mercenary Group explained softly. She's not a troublesome woman, is she? Fengde asked with a slight headache. He was very uninterested in women other than his young lady and the women around her now. I'm not sure either, Xiangdong said speechlessly. But he was thinking in his heart, what kind of woman is considered troublesome to Fengde? Ruoxue. She is the client of our mercenary group, Ma Yuro, the eldest young lady of the Ma family, the second largest family in Fire City. Zhu Ri led Ma Yuro to Long Ruoxue. Miss Ma, she is Miss Ruoxue from our mercenary group. Zhu Ri very politely introduced the two. They nodded at each other, making acquaintances. Big Brother Zhu, let's go quickly, Ma Yuro said impatiently. Zhu Ri looked at Long Ruoxue and said helplessly, okay, miss, looks like you really don't get along well with women. That Miss Ma doesn't have a good impression of you. Fengde whispered to Long Ruoxue. Long Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Fengde and said nonchalantly, she's just a passerby. Why would I care? Long Ruoxue and the others followed Zhu Ri to the gathering point. On the spacious ground, 2 enormous flying spirit beasts were descending. Miss Ruoxue, I'm so sorry. My flying spirit beasts are too small and can't seat many people. Why don't you sit with my subordinates? Ma Yuro looked at Long Ruoxue in slight embarrassment. Long Ruoxue glanced at the 2 spirit beasts and said coldly, thank you for your kind intentions, Miss Ma. I have my own spirit beasts. Ruoxue. Zhu Ri looked at Long Ruoxue awkwardly and was annoyed at Ma Yuro even more. She's just the daughter of a nouveau riche. He wondered what the Ma family would think if they knew that their beloved daughter was so against someone they would never be able to curry favor with in this life. Big Brother Zhu, sit with Miss Ma. Don't worry about me, Long Ruoxue said understandingly and gave Zhu Ri a look. Okay then. Zhu Ri nodded helplessly and hopped onto Ma Yuro's flying spirit beast. Miss Long, our spirit beasts fly very quickly, so you have to follow us and don't lose sight of us, Ma Yuro said with concern. then ordered her spirit beasts to take off. Don't worry. They'll keep up, Long Ruashua said gratefully. Miss, shall we set off? Feng De said helplessly when he saw that the two spirit beasts had already flown far away. Alas, it seems that Miss has really been too bored recently. Chapter 259. Give me a reason to take you in. 1. Let's go. Long Ruashua summoned Quill and also released the little mink, who she had placed in her space. My dear Quill, let's fly slower so that we don't scare the two beasts, Long Ruashua said very kindly as she lay comfortably on Quill's back. Yes, master, Quill answered with some difficulty, his face full of black lines. Boo-hoo. How slow will I have to fly so that I won't surpass those two spirit beasts? I thought you would ride the fire dragon? Long Ruashua teased Feng De and Lu Tao when she saw them sitting up. Miss, that dragon is too eye-catching. Can't we ride a few ordinary flying beasts? Feng De said with a bitter face. Since they became famous, he didn't dare to ride the fire dragon at all. Otherwise, he would definitely be recognized. Quill, do you know any flying spirit beasts? Long Ruashua asked after some thought. Yes, but their levels aren't high, Quill said after some thought. It's okay. They just need to fly fast, Feng De said quickly. Yes, level isn't important, Long Ruashua agreed. They indeed needed a few ordinary flying spirit beasts. Then he'll look for them when we reach the illusionary forest, Quill said reluctantly. Boo-hoo. Am I going to lose my job? Long Ruashua nodded, closed her eyes, and fell silent. After flying for more than 10 hours, they finally arrived at Willow City. Everyone stopped outside the city and walked into Willow City. It's getting late, so let's stay here for the night and go tomorrow morning, Ju Ri said as he looked at the sky in front of an inn. Okay, well listen to Big Brother Ju, Mayuro said in agreement. What? Are you planning to train during the day and come out of the forest at night? Long Ruashua suddenly asked. Of course not. We're going to camp in the forest at night. Mayuro raised her chin proudly. I don't see that intent in your actions, Long Ruashua said calmly. Ju Ri understood what Ruashua meant. He looked at the two groups and continued. Let's go straight into the forest. Big Brother Ju, it's already so late, and we're all tired. Let's go tomorrow, Mayuro said coquettishly. After flying for so long, all she wanted now was a good night's sleep. Yuro, don't be willful. Listen to young Master Ju, a middle-aged man scolded. Second uncle, this isn't the Ma family residence. You can't be willful, Ma Zhongxian, the second uncle of the Ma family, said in a non-negotiable tone. All right, Big Brother Ju, they'll listen to you. Ma Yuro compromised. Her second uncle's status in the family was second only to her father's, so she didn't dare to disobey him. Let's go, Ju Ri said lightly. They slowly walked toward the illusionary forest. Miss, are you hungry? There's some jerky here. Have some. In the forest, Lu Tao took out a piece of jerky and handed it to Long Ruashua, as if no one else was around. Ma Zhongxian, who heard the commotion, hurriedly came in front of Lu Tao and bowed respectfully. He was also very terrified in his heart at this moment. He really didn't expect this maidservant to be a spiritual sovereign, and her strength was clearly above his. He was only an elementary spiritual sovereign, so wouldn't this woman be at least an intermediate spiritual sovereign or even higher? Chapter 260. Give me a reason to take you in, too. This was too terrifying. Ma Zhongxian really didn't know what kind of family would have even a spiritual sovereign as a maidservant. How dare she ask me to serve her? Is she worthy? Lu Tao snorted coldly. Tower, why lower yourself to the level of a small family who has never seen the world? Let's not be angry. Feng De walked over, gently hugged Lu Tao, and coaxed her. Okay, look after that self-righteous niece of yours. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that she will still be alive next time, Lu Tao said domineeringly, already possessing the aura of a powerhouse. Young master, should we go and persuade them? Xiang Dong, who was watching the commotion not far away, asked softly. No need. Ruoxue won't go too far, Zhu Ri said nonchalantly as his eyes drifted toward Long Ruoxue. Senior, don't worry. I will take care of her. Ma Zhongxian rolled his eyes at his niece and hurriedly promised, but his heart was full of suspicion. Who are these three people? Hurry up and take her out of my sight, Lu Tao said irritably. Yes, we won't disturb you any further. Ma Zhongxian pulled his niece up from the ground and quickly disappeared from Lu Tao's sight. Although he didn't like this niece of his, he wouldn't be able to explain it to his brother if anything happened to her. Mississippi. Lu Tao looked at Long Ruoxue aggrievedly and pouted. Hee, our Lu Tao is so imposing. Even I, your miss, am scared of you. Long Ruoxue teased happily. Miss, Lu Tao is going to ignore you. Lu Tao turned her head angrily and concentrated on starting the fire. Alas, I'm so sad. The cute Lu Tao is actually ignoring me, Long Ruoxue said with a face full of self-blaming. Swear, you still have me. I won't ignore you. The little silver mink didn't let go of any opportunity to make his intentions clear. My little mink is still the best, Long Ruoxue exclaimed happily. Ruoxue, your life is really enviable. Zhu Ri walked over. Big brother Zhu, you can do the same if you want, Long Ruoxue said lightly. I hope so, Zhu Ri said. He knew his responsibilities and knew that he would never be able to live as he pleased like Ruoxue. Miss, food is ready. Lu Tao walked over. Big brother Zhu, let's eat together. Long Ruoxue invited. Then I won't hold back. Zhu Ri couldn't ask for more. Ruoxue, what you're eating is too much. Zhu Ri came to the table and was a little dumbfounded. Isn't the food a little too extravagant? Comparisons are odious. Really? This is already considered simple, Long Ruoxue said honestly. She had always had high requirements for food, and as time passed, her subordinates' appetites had also become picky. But look at what our mercenary group and the Ma family are eating. And look at you guys. The difference is too big, Zhu Ri said helplessly. He felt inferior compared to Ruoxue. Big brother Zhu, ask your subordinates to come and eat together. Long Ruoxue was a little embarrassed to eat alone after hearing what he said. Ruoxue, then we won't stand on ceremony. Xiang Dong, come eat with us. Zhu Ri quickly beckoned to his subordinates, as if he was afraid that Long Ruoxue would regret it. Coming. Xiang Dong and the others ran over excitedly. Everyone gathered and had a lively dinner. After the meal, Xiang Dong and the others took the initiative to wash the dishes. Second uncle, they are too much. Ma Euro sat in the distance, her face full of injustice. Why did they have fish, meat, and soup, eating an incomparably sumptuous dinner, while they could only gnaw on hard, dry food? Shut up and don't cause any more trouble. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences yourself, Ma Zhongxian threatened. This spoiled eldest young lady was the most troublesome among the younger generation of the Ma family. After eating, Long Ruoxue and the others went to rest. The next morning, Long Ruoxue found Zhu Ri, greeted him, and left the team temporarily. After they walked out of the sight of Zhu Ri and the others, Long Ruoxue summoned Quill. Quill, take us there. Master, come sit on me. Quill enlarged. After Long Ruoxue and the others sat on Quill's back, he led them directly to the Eagle tribe's territory. Master, I asked them yesterday, and they should give me an answer today, Quill said. After arriving at the forest yesterday, he had specially gone to the Eagle tribe to convey his master's intentions to his tribe. But the Eagles were hesitant at the time, so he gave them a day to consider. Well done, Long Ruoxue praised as she caressed Quill's soft feathers. After flying for about 15 minutes, Quill pointed at a place in the forest and said, Master, that's it. Quill found a place to land and was instantly surrounded by a group of eagles. Quill, we've thought about it, one of the snow-white eagles said first. Quill nodded and motioned the snow eagle to continue. We are willing to acknowledge humans as our masters, the snow eagle said directly. It was a level 8 holy beast. In the past, its strength was on par with Quill's. But Quill was now a divine beast, while it had yet to advance. Therefore, it decided to be like Quill and acknowledge a human as its master. However, I have a condition, the snow eagle continued. What condition? Quill asked in puzzlement. The snow eagle hesitated but still said, I want to acknowledge you as my master. What? Quill was so angry. Boo-hoo. It's indeed here to snatch my job. While Quill was communicating with the snow eagle, Long Ruashue glanced at the eagles surrounding them. Most of them were level 5 holy beasts, and a few were level 4. This snow eagle had the highest level apart from Quill. Give me a reason to take you in. Long Ruashue raised her eyebrows as she stared at the snow eagle. I want to become strong. I want to become a divine beast. I am already a level 8 holy beast. If I want to advance, I need a powerful master. Moreover, I fly fast, and I can provide warmth in the winter and am cool in the summer. Using me as a mount is absolutely comfortable and safe. In addition, I'm good at making my master happy, and I can sing. After hearing what Long Ruashue said, the snow eagle began to tell her everything it could do, talking non-stop. This human woman should be Quill's master. So I have to perform well, lest she looks down on me. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.